What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 8 at chapter 176, The Hero Golden Lion previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement chapter 176, Hero Golden Lion. It's actually so powerful. Feeling the depression coming from inside to Ultimate's Ryotsu, whether it's Marine or CPO people react almost the same. That's totally unreasonable. Ryotsu is just too scary. And along with this burst of Ryotsu, a loud broadcast sound came from nowhere. Marine generals, and everyone from the CPO, first Marine Admiral Kizaru. No matter what happens next, whether you believe it or not, no, please listen to me carefully. Kizaru's voice sounded within range of Marijoy. Hearing Kizaru's voice, Guido was the first to feel something was wrong. Because he knew what Kizaru was doing there. Of course, Kizaru won't notice what other people think. All he needs to do now is tell the truth. I will only say one thing below. Murphy, the former Marine Admiral and Naval Headquarters General Staff, has rebelled. Please pay attention. If you encounter any encounters, don't show mercy. After finishing speaking, the voice of the radio also stopped abruptly. 12 at this time, in different places in every corner of Marijoy, everyone has different expressions. Advertisement, but the common feature is that their faces are very ugly, with terrible anger. At the same time, there are some uncertainties. Murphy's solid impression of the Marines over the decades is still too strong for these Marines. They would rather believe that Kizaru had misunderstood, and even said that Kizaru was the one who defected and is now framing Murphy. Of course, this is a purely emotional judgment, and now I am afraid that everyone will only believe what they see with their own eyes. Sure enough, something went wrong. Sengoku clenched his fists tightly. Anyway, if this kind of thing happened now, there must be something wrong inside San Admiral. Whether it's something wrong with Kizaru or something wrong with Murphy, it must be a disgrace to Marine. That's for sure. How could it be? Did you really betray Murphy? Hearing this news, Yuan, who was beheading Jillian, only felt his feet go soft. Among the Marines, he is probably the one who can't believe this thing the most. The person he admired actually betrayed Marine. Have you been exposed? But this is indeed the most suitable opportunity to kill that guy. Besides Marijoy, a man biting a cigar has been paying attention to the news here. After hearing the voice inside, he couldn't help raising the corners of his mouth. At this time, there are too many powerful combat forces gathered in Marijoy. Advertisement: all the strongest shields of CPO, Marine 3 Admiral, Backup Admiral and the famous old Marine, Car plus the power of 5 elders. These are almost all Marine Admiral level combat powers. Although some are slightly stronger and some are slightly weaker, there is no doubt that everyone can at least touch Marine Admiral and will not be completely crushed. I'm afraid even to hunt down the 4 emperors, it won't take half of the combat power here, right? The most important thing is to add him. It's time for the chain you tied me to be lifted. I've been waiting for this day, this opportunity for too long. Golden Lion clenched his fists tightly. I have endured it for so many years, and I have been honestly being the president of the Hunters Guild for this moment. As long as he can undo the shackles that finally bind him, he will be completely free. With a full Hogyoku, endless life, Golden Lion can spend countless hours to realize his ambitions. Being able to bear this moment for so long, I have to say that Golden Lion is indeed a veritable hero. The direction of Ryotsu. Over there? Golden Lion put his eyes on the very center. Based on his understanding of Murphy would never choose to run away, so this Ryotsu can be regarded as a provocation to everyone present. But this group of guys is also the same. They're just a group of low-level Jillians. They haven't solved it for so long. Let me help you solve it in one go. Focus on dealing with that guy. Suddenly, a huge Ryotsu burst out from within the Golden Lion, attacking all the Jillians in Marijoy in an instant. Advertisement: in just an instant, all the Jillians turned into fragile hills of dust, easily blown away by Golden Lion's Ryotsu, and turned into the most basic spiritual particles. In this way, people from the Marine and the government should be able to gather there soon. Seeing his masterpiece, Golden Lion couldn't help raising the corners of his mouth. Although the Hogyoku in the body is not as perfect as the Hogyoku in Murphy's body, the effect is also remarkable. It is also very simple for the current Golden Lion to easily defeat this group of Jillians with Ryotsu. Is someone helping us? He frowned, seeing that all 887 of Jillian had disappeared in front of him. He always felt that something was wrong, as if they were all calculated. It should be. Apart from Murphy, only the 3 guild leaders of the Hunter Guild can do it in my knowledge, Sengoku replied with a nod. They haven't invited anyone from the Hunters Guild to come here to help. Although it has been said that the Hunters Guild and the Marine government have always been indifferent to each other, but at such a critical time, Sengoku always feels a little uneasy. Anyway, the first thing to do now is to find Murphy. All the Jillians have been wiped out. Just go over there, I'm sure others are thinking the same thing. Chapter 177 Kuzan's questioning. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 177 Kuzan's questioning. This Ryotsu breath, is that guy from Golden Lion here too? Sensing the sudden Ryotsu from outside, Murphy said unhurriedly. But it is true that almost all the high-end combat forces in the world have gathered here now, except for the pirates who did not come. Everyone's enemy is Murphy. For Golden Lion, it is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they don't show their cards at this time, I'm afraid Golden Lion won't be able to wait for a second chance. Senior Murphy, at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded not far in front of Faye. Murphy also withdrew his thoughts and looked in the direction ahead. Kuzan. It's been a long time. I didn't expect you to be the first person to come here. Seeing Kuzan in front of him, Murphy smiled and said. Is there nothing to explain? Kuzan asked with a last hint of fluke. But in exchange, Murphy just shook his head slightly. Really, I understand. Seeing Murphy shaking his head, Kuzan already understood what he should do. Without any hesitation, the terrible freezing air immediately climbed up Kuzan's body, and even the lenses of his glasses began to freeze. Was frozen. Although it is said that Kuzan is Admiral's backup, there is no doubt that Kuzan also has the strength to rival Sakazuki and Pelusalino, and the outcome of the 3 is also close to each other. Seeing Kuzan's appearance, Murphy's thoughts were a little complicated for a while, but in a blink of an eye, he put on a confident smile and said, Kuzan, you should understand the gap between you and me. Advertisement. I know that very well. Panting slightly, Kuzan looked solemnly at Murphy in front of him. Murphy's strength was terrifying. He knew very well that the terrifying power was not comparable to that of Marine Admirals Sakazuki and Pelusalino. Even if the two teamed up, they might not be Murphy's opponent. A man in a white suit appeared directly not far from Murphy, and next to this man was Kuzan, who had just been blocked in the black coffin. Did the shield I made at random block my attack? A transparent shield made of Ryotsu appeared directly in front of Murphy. However, at the moment when Black Coffin launched an attack, Heifei suddenly felt an abnormal fluctuation. Ha ha ha. Didn't expect that. Just after you left, I dug out the Hogyoku fragments from the corpses of several celestial dragons. I have to thank you, otherwise, I would have no chance to get this rare thing. Brad laughed wildly. In the next second, Kuzan suddenly jumped into the air, surrounded by 3 ice spears, and the snow-white ice spears directly attacked him. Besides this group of people, there was a hidden figure that did not appear directly. But, I'm not alone here, Kuzan said coldly. I have to say that this guy is indeed a lunatic. He is the CPO, but he dares to kill the celestial dragons directly. It is no wonder that 5 elders has been keeping this guy in secret. Advertisement. Although a small portion was frozen, it was nothing compared to Murphy's huge Ryotsu. And Murphy was unbiased, just standing there, showing no intention of moving. Are you still planning to hide here now? Golden Lion? Brad, the ace of the CPO, the ability user of the devil fruit of the space system? I didn't expect to recover so quickly. A single shield can be used at will during battle, but its defensive power is limited, but it is still very easy to defend against Marine Admiral's level of attack. The Kido of 90 launched instantly, and a huge black cube aimed at Kuzan instantly, completely sealing Kuzan inside. Black Coffin. Immediately next second, countless gravity blades are crazily heading towards Black Coffin, and under the torrent of gravity that can completely change even the rules, Kuzan has absolutely no chance of surviving. As he spoke, the terrifying Ryotsu erupting from Murphy's body met Kuzan's freezing air. All the frost is completely isolated, Although he is confident that he will not lose to the other two, he also knows that there is a huge gap between himself and Murphy, and it is a gap between heaven and earth. P.S. Open black lens bracket 1 close black lens bracket advertisement. Layers of frost formed on the transparent shield, but the shield itself showed no signs of being broken through. After all, once this kind of crazy, Zhao Dejiao, goes crazy, it is difficult to stop, let alone protect the Weilong people. However, what was a little surprising was that this guy seemed to be fine. He was obviously a Paramecia demon fruit power of the space system, but his resilience was so powerful, it could be compared to the awakening of a zone ability user. As for the corpse of the celestial dragons in his mouth, I'm afraid it's not that simple. After all, with Hogyoku's healing ability, although they are a group of waste celestial dragons, it is impossible to kill the celestial dragons just by the aftermath of Jillian's attack. And Murphy looked at the freezing air on the single shield he created, and praised with great interest. Very good ability, but it's too weak. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. To be honest, Kuzan didn't expect that Murphy's casually made shield could block his attack. Single shield. More than 90% of the time, it is definitely Brad who killed the celestial dragons with Hogyoku in them. Not only that, but other CPO and Marine personnel have also arrived. Seeing the CPO in front of him, Murphy recognized at a glance that it was the CPO who had been beaten up by Lu Chi before. While talking, Murphy put his gaze on the sky not far away. Such a powerful Ryotsu, coupled with the best number 90 Kido, is definitely not something that a mere Marine Admiral can defend against even if he abandons the chant. Chapter 178 5 Swirling Dragons of Destruction. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Chapter 178 5 Swirling Dragons of Destruction. In the air, with the help of the protection of the clouds, and deliberately concealing his Ryotsu aura, no one present felt the aura of the Golden Lion. Of course, only Murphy is an exception. Although Golden Lion's Ryotsu is very strong, he is still far behind him, and this clumsy concealment skill is naturally exposed. Finally we meet again. Seeing that he had been discovered, Golden Lion didn't intend to hide anymore, and walked out directly, staring at Murphy's direction, his eyes full of crazy fighting intent. His only opponent in this world is probably the man in front of him. A man who made himself completely incomprehensible. Strength, resourcefulness, and ambition far surpassed him. It is precisely because of this that Golden Lion chose to lie dormant under Murphy's command for decades. This awe made him not dare to act rashly for decades. He honestly did what he should do, and constantly improved his strength. And all of this is for today's 44 countries. Do you think you can beat me with these guys? Is it because of your ignorance? Or is it too arrogant? Murphy said with some disdain. Advertisement for him. These Marine Admirals were almost all small characters that could be easily dealt with. Although it was troublesome to have so many people, it couldn't change the situation of the battle at all. Ignorant? Arrogant? What do you know? I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Golden Lion had a winning expression on his face. Relying on others has never been his style, but he has the certainty of being able to kill with one blow, so he chooses to provoke at this time. To be precise, the Golden Lion's ambitions have already swelled since Hollow gained abilities. He hasn't used his ability once in so many years, just relying on the original Devil Fruit power and the power brought by Hogyoku is enough to crush everyone except Murphy. But for the Golden Lion, Murphy has no interest. He directly raised his hand and aimed at the Golden Lion. Hodoji Juju, BCFB, 5 Swirling Dragons of Destruction. Before Golden Lion could react, Murphy mercilessly burst out the strongest Kido. 99's Hodo. Rumble. As Murphy's voice fell, Ryotsu, who was far beyond the Golden Lion, spread all over Marijoy and the entire Red Line. The stickiness of Ryotsu seems to be like a swamp. Even the so-called strongest aces of CPO and the famous characters in Marine feel that it is difficult to move an inch. It seems that the composition of the entire world has completely changed, and even time and body senses seem to have become dull. The only one who can move freely under this viscous Ryotsu is the Golden Lion. Advertisement soon. The entire Red Line began to shake. In this huge land, it seemed that a huge monster was being conceived. Soon, everything in Marijoy began to shatter, as if it was undergoing a magnitude 10 earthquake. Terrifying ravines and cracks spread across the entire land. The terrifying Ryotsu continued to rise from these cracks, and soon gathered into huge blue dragons, straight into the sky. What is this? Dragon? This volume is already bigger than Sea King's. You will die. If you are hit directly. Marine and CPO looked at the giant dragon hovering in the sky, and their faces became extremely pale. Is it the Kido of number 99? Even if I continue to study and imitate, I can only master the Kido of number 30. Seeing that Murphy used the Kido of number 99, Golden Lion was a little surprised. Even though he only mastered the 30th Kido, this kind of genius is quite rare. After all, Golden Lion has no one to guide him. Being able to use Kido, it's a complete Golden Lion imitation of Murphy with Ryotsu. To be able to achieve this level of success, the talent of Golden Lion is self-evident. To know those guys who have been specially taught, it took decades to master Kido, not necessarily. Of course, one of the reasons is that Golden Lion's Ryotsu is too strong. If it is replaced by Shinigami's combat power, even an ordinary captain may have no way to defeat Golden Lion. Advertisement. As for things like Kido, the lower the level, the easier it is to imitate. Few people will use Kido above 90. The offensive Hado is the black coffin used by Aizen, 5 swirling dragons of destruction, Urahara Kazuki's Senju, and Yamamoto Genryusai's cremation. And the gap between this level of Kido and other Kido is not a star. 5 giant dragons with a length of more than a kilometer kept circling, and finally shot towards the direction of Golden Lion at the same time, hitting heavily on the place where Golden Lion was. Immediately, the terrifying aftermath spread to the surroundings, appearing in Kongchen like a mushroom cloud. Gravel and rubble were continuously sprayed around, and the aftermath of the battle spread to the entire Red Line in an instant. The mushroom cloud produced by the battle made the air in the entire area cloudy. And at the position where the Golden Lion was just now, a gravitational turbulence roared continuously, obviously pierced by Murphy's completely unreasonable Ryotsu. And the figure of Golden Lion completely disappeared here. Did you avoid it? That Golden Lion just now seems to have used a very interesting ability. Murphy's mouth evoked an interested smile. Being able to dodge the attack under his probing nerves, this is definitely because Golden Lion used some kind of unknown special ability to dodge. Chapter 179 Reversal. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 179 Reversal. Immediately afterwards, Murphy suddenly looked in one direction, and swung the knife out without hesitation. Under Golden Lion's astonished eyes, the moment he just appeared, the knife light had already flown in front of him. Even if he dodged in time, Murphy's slash still instantly cut off one of his arms. Scarlet blood gushed out immediately. However, Golden Lion's astonishment quickly disappeared, and his eyes calmed down in a blink of an eye, and he said slowly, "I made a mistake. It really is not that simple to want to defeat you. I really dare not relax for a moment. It seems that your ability is very special." Murphy smiled. He had expected the Golden Lion's rebellion long ago, but for him, the stronger the Golden Lion, the better, especially this natural ability, which is still very interesting to Murphy. To be able to make a guy at the level of Golden Lion dodge his sword, it has to be said that the improvement is quite huge. Not in vain Murphy's expectations for Golden Lion. It's clear though, that Golden Lion is the type who doesn't, what a crap, once he makes up his mind. Advertisement. In less than a second, the golden back has been completely recovered. At the same time, Golden Lion suddenly appeared behind Murphy, and the 2 famous knives in his hands pierced Murphy's body directly from behind. No matter how terrifying a person is, it's impossible for him to fail this trick for the first time. Golden Lion standing behind Murphy said coldly. Zero. Murphy was surprised that he failed to see through the unbelievable movement of the Golden Lion twice in a row. Not Shunpo, steering, nor Marine 6 styles or Devil Fruit abilities, and not even an iota of Ryotsu swings. At this time, Golden Lion also spoke. "What's the matter? You have always put on a high-ranking attitude, but now you find that things are beyond your control. Do you find it unbelievable? I have spent decades studying you, not only your ability, even in terms of personality." Because in the eyes of the Golden Lion, Murphy is already doomed. Even if he mentions the Red Earl, it doesn't matter. This huge change made everyone present unable to react. Suddenly, I saw that Murphy's body suddenly began to expand rapidly, and the blood in his body began to completely uncontrollable, expanding, and expanding outward. I forgot to mention. This move ability is entrusted to me by that fellow rider. It is the strongest move that can absolutely kill you as long as the conditions are met. Even if your body is filled with 100 cute jades, you will definitely die. He can be sure that the person he just attacked was definitely Murphy. Just standing where they are, has turned all of them around, and even one of the 5 elders died without knowing it. And now, the knife in his hand piercing Sin's body is the best result of his efforts in the past few decades. Advertisement and how to kill Murphy, he has already prepared. I saw that at the same time as Murphy appeared, an ordinary-looking knife was also poured into his abdomen. But for its own ability, Golden Lion has absolute confidence. Nothing is done. P.S. Open black lens bracket 3 close black lens bracket. Seeing Murphy's current state, Golden Lion did not hesitate to mention his ally Red Earl Rider. In the next second, Murphy's complexion suddenly became gloomy, the veins on his forehead bulged, and his entire face began to distort. The whole person's body suddenly became extremely bloated, and turned into a huge sphere in the blink of an eye, as if it would explode at any time. What the hell did you do? What did you do? As you can see, I've been standing here. Murphy slightly raised the corner of his mouth, and said something that Golden Lion couldn't accept anyway. Nothing have never done it. What's the matter? Just this level has shaken you, so what now? Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for evaluation, ask for a reward. The Marine CP-0s below were also stunned. Facing Murphy's almost monster-level combat power and resourcefulness, it is almost impossible to set up a situation. Advertisement. After the words fell, without the slightest sign, Murphy's figure had already appeared in front of him. Obviously just saw that the Golden Lion took out Murphy. How did this person become 5 elders in the blink of an eye? Golden Lion already felt that things seemed to have exceeded his expectations, as if he was being manipulated from start to finish. At the same time, a sense of pain appeared on his body. Decades have been enough for Golden Lion to understand Murphy, to think about countermeasures, to study how to use their own abilities to specialize in defeating the strong with the weak, and to set up a game. The pain and the coldness coming from the abdomen clearly told Golden Lion what happened to him now. These words shook Golden Lion almost instantly. Nothing is done. Really? Rider's ability to indirectly control blood. Is this the whole card you used to kill me? The ability that can be controlled out of thin air, after touching the blood in my body with your knife, can be further developed. It is indeed a very good power to manipulate the blood in my body to achieve the effect of making me explode. At the door of 5 Elders' office just now, Murphy is watching what happened here motionless. However, just when Golden Lion felt that he had won, a voice suddenly sounded. How is it possible? Why is it this guy? There was a look of astonishment in Golden Lion's eyes, and he didn't know what expression to use to face this extremely weird scene. Seeking flowers 0. How is it possible? Then this guy is. Golden Lion turned around in shock, and saw that the person pierced by the knife in front of him was not Murphy at all, but the 5 elders with the flat forehead. Chapter 180 Betrayal? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 180 Betrayal. How do you feel now, Golden Lion? Standing in front of Golden Lion, Murphy asked with a smile. At this time, the Golden Lion was completely confused. What kind of method was this? Beyond the pace of Shunpo? The Kido of the special abandonment chant? Or the ability of Zanpakuto? Or a complete crushing of strength? Golden Lion doesn't know, not even what just happened. And the most important thing is that he didn't even notice the fluctuation of Ryotsu just now. If it was Kido or Shunpo or the like, there would definitely be traces of Ryotsu left anyway. Even if he didn't notice it right away, he should feel it now no matter what. If it is not for these 2 items, then, 970, maybe the ability of Phase Zanpakuto. Of course he wouldn't, and he didn't dare to believe that this was a complete crushing of strength. Even if he became like this, wouldn't the whole world be at the mercy of Murphy? In fact, it is true. If Murphy really has this exaggerated level of strength to crush, then it can indeed be said that he can play with the whole world at will. Advertisement may be in the future, but Hogyoku, which has only been offering Ryotsu for decades, can't yet. But for the immortal, Decades are nothing at all. Although it has been expected for a long time, I didn't expect it to be hidden so deeply. Golden Lion felt more and more horrified in his heart. He's hiding his powers, and so is Murphy. And, even deeper than what he hides. Hidden. No. All along, my ability has been used, but none of you noticed, that's all. Murphy shook his head. Since Kyōka Suigetsu merged with him, he himself is equivalent to the blade of Kyōka Suigetsu, and anyone who has seen him will be influenced by Kyōka Suigetsu. Unless it has a special ability or is far stronger than him. Is it an ability that has been used all the time but has not been discovered? Although the enemy's words are not credible, Golden Lion can't find any good breakthroughs, and can only try to analyze something from Murphy's words. It's really scary. For the first time, Golden Lion felt that he was so weak. But it is at this time. An extremely thick sound came from the rubble below, resounding throughout Mariajoy. The angry voice sounded a little scary. Murphy. Advertisement. A golden light suddenly began to magnify, Sengoku's whole body began to swell continuously, and even the marine cloak behind him also began to grow larger. The muscles cast like fine steel look extremely powerful, no one dares to underestimate them. Even though he is very old, no one will underestimate the former Marine Admiral, the current Marine Marshal. And as Sengoku started, other Marine generals and CP0 were also ready to fight. Those gathered here are at least masters who can compete with Sakazuki and Pelusolino. As for the others, they are simply not qualified to appear on this level of battlefield. The betrayer. Murphy. Sengoku's tone was unusually cold. As the saying goes, as much as the expectations are, then the disappointment will be as great. The most shining Marine new star, Marine spider-like character. Now it has become like this, which makes Sengoku unacceptable. Betrayer. Why do you say that? I have never been on Marine's side, and I have been like this from the beginning to the end. Murphy pulled out the sword that had been pierced into Golden Lion, shook off the blood on the knife, and shrugged. Replied with a shrug. Hearing this, Sengoku's face turned livid. What he heard from Murphy's mouth was complete disdain for Marine, and he could even feel that Marine seemed like an insignificant place to him. For him, this is almost an all-round insult. Just at this time. Suddenly, the terrible cold climbed directly onto the knife in his hand, trapping the knife in his hand firmly, and on the other side, a knife was directly placed on Murphy's neck. Don't move, otherwise, I'll decapitate you immediately. Kuzan's cold air and a very famous knife that he is familiar with, Jinpyra. Advertisement. That's right. The owner of this knife is none other than Marine's backup Admiral Momosuke, a round saber. Compared with Kuzan's simple control, the circle movement is obviously more forceful, the blade is even about to pierce Murphy's skin, as if Song can do it by blowing 10 strokes lightly on the back of the blade. It's such a complicated face. Murphy glanced at the circle next to him, and his expression became a little complicated. Although it is said that he has no substantive relationship with Ziyuan, Ziyuan's feelings for him have never changed, even after decades. He is like Aizen, but not Aizen. You'd better not move, or I can't help but kill you. As if to prevent Murphy from making any other moves, Ziyuan mercilessly grabbed his other hand that was not frozen, and said with a frown. Of course, no one would notice, but a look of pain flashed in the depths of Ziyuan's firm eyes. She didn't want things to turn out like this. But as a Marine, she had to choose to stop Murphy first. Even the mind was so confused that only 2 people rushed forward. Can't help it. Murphy turned around slowly, and the sharp famous knife wiped a bloodstain on his neck. Seeing the wound on Murphy's neck, Yuan was subconsciously frightened, and immediately took Jinpyro back, even letting go of the hand that was holding Murphy. It's still as cute as ever. Murphy stretched out the hand that had been released, and gently touched the round side face. Chapter 181. The Golden Lion Who Controls the Power of Time. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 181. The Golden Lion Who Controls the Power of Time. Seeing Murphy stretch out his hand, Ziyuan didn't choose to refuse. Although the 2 of them hadn't had no contact at all, most of the contact was only Yuan's initiative. In Ziyuan's memory, this was the first time that Murphy reached out and wanted to touch her. This feeling made her unable to refuse, and she was unwilling to refuse. Let go of Ziyuan. But at this moment, the crane below rushed up directly. And Murphy also took advantage of the situation to let go of the circle, and took 2 steps back. At the same time, it was like shaking off the water droplets on the hand, easily shaking off the ice that Kuzan froze him. And in this short period of time, the golden lion who had just been pierced by Murphy's sword has also completely recovered with the help of Hogyoku's power. Everyone attacked that guy, I just set a trap on him. The moment Golden Lion just recovered, he directly called the others to attack together. 12. Although it is said that Murphy's trajectory made him feel fear, but just when Murphy attacked him, Golden Lion had already set a trap at the same time. Advertisement. You just take charge of the attack, I will control this guy, there is only one chance, use your strongest attack together. Seeing the distrustful eyes of the people around, Golden Lion said seriously. He knows that his identity is not very trustworthy by others, but now they are on the same side. People around looked at each other and rushed towards Murphy at the same time. The sluggish speed, what? Murphy was just about to say that the sluggish speed couldn't hit him. In the next moment, everyone seemed to have teleported, and all kinds of fists and famous knives covering weapons all blasted on his body. Being attacked by more than a dozen Marine Admiral level masters, and they still directly bear it, the consequences are naturally conceivable. Moreover, the CPO people directly aimed at Murphy's heart without hesitation, trying to dig out the Hogyoku in Murphy's body. Of course, there was only one exception, and that was Yuan, who stood aside in a daze and didn't make a move. How about it? My power to control time. When I touched you just now, I set up a time trap to stop you. No matter what it is impossible to fight back after being stopped by time. Seeing Murphy's heart pierced and Hogyoku dug out, the Golden Lion laughed maniacally. Even a complete Hogyoku has the power to be close to complete immortality, but if it is dug out directly, it is useless. Even the one inside Murphy. The original Hogyoku has self-awareness and can choose its master, even if it is dug out, Hogyoku can choose to go back by itself. Advertisement. But Murphy had already wiped Hogyoku's sense of self from him. Murphy cares more about having total control over Hogyoku than this convenience. But there is no one in this world who can dig Hogyoku out of Murphy's body. Even the Golden Lion. Really? Is this your ability? Golden Lion. Murphy looked at Golden Lion with a half smile. For some reason, Golden Lion suddenly had a very bad premonition. Immediately afterwards, Murphy's body shattered like a mirror, and then the blonde 5 elders appeared in front of everyone. And where the blonde 5 elders was originally, that figure also disappeared immediately. On the other hand, Murphy was still standing there, still motionless as before. You. The blonde 5 elders looked in horror at the Marine and CPO who were attacking him, and spoke with some difficulty. Being attacked by so many people at the same time, not even a god can save him. In less than 3 seconds, the blonde 5 elders completely lost their voice before they even finished speaking. Damn it! What's going on? 2 5 elders in a row. Marines people looked at Murphy very vigilantly. Even the CPO strongest shields who were calm just now couldn't keep their composure. No one in the room saw the slightest sign, and they didn't even know how it happened. Advertisement. It's like everyone is in Murphy's hands. No one knows whether he will become the same as 5 elders, the next target to be attacked, and die in the hands of his colleagues for no reason. Still in that position again? If so, try this. Lion Majesty. Earth Coiling. The strongest ability that the Golden Lion can use here, the current Golden Lion is different from the past, and even has the powerful power to permanently change an island with a single blow. You can even directly use Lion Fruit's ability to transform an entire island into the shape you want. Although the consumption is huge, it is nothing to him who owns Hogyoku. If the consumption of this skill is 100 mana, then the 597 recovery that Hogyoku can bring is 200 per second. The gigantic lion's head was 500 meters high, and the terrifying oppressive force aimed directly at Murphy standing at the door. Although I don't know if the person standing there is Murphy, but based on Golden Lion's understanding of Murphy, if Murphy has stood in place twice in a row, then this time with Murphy's proud attitude, he will definitely stand. It's here. Therefore, no matter who is standing there, or even whether there is no one standing there, the Golden Lion will only target one place to attack. I have to say that the Golden Lion is indeed very smart. Indeed, Murphy is indeed standing motionless at the door, and does not intend to make any movements. It's still a simple and easy to understand guy as always, even his behavior is so simple. Chapter 182 Complete Hypnosis. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 182 Complete Hypnosis. Murphy's voice suddenly sounded in the distance behind Golden Lion. This is. Take a closer look. Only then did Golden Lion realize that the direction of his attack just now was completely opposite to where Murphy was. Murphy, on the other hand, was still standing there motionless. My ability is called Kyōka Suigetsu, and it has the ability of complete hypnosis. Murphy began to explain his ability to everyone very kindly. Once the power of Kyōka Suigetsu is touched, it is really incomprehensible. Complete hypnosis. Kuzan looked horrified. No wonder that kind of thing happened just now. Crane also wanted to understand what happened just now. The people present were not stupid, and quickly figured out the difference, and connected the things just now. The ability of complete hypnosis. Golden Lion's expression became extremely terrifying. Advertisement. All of them have been in Murphy's hands since the beginning. No matter how powerful the attack is, it is useless if it cannot hit the enemy. Complete hypnosis. He's really a scary guy. CPO's strongest ace, Brad, also became more serious. Although this guy is a lunatic, he doesn't really care about his own life. Originally, he thought that relying on his devil fruit of the space system, he could already be invincible against anyone. But what happened today made him feel more and more difficult to deal with. First, there appeared a Lu Chi who was not weaker than him at all, and even hit him in all directions. Then there's another Golden Lion who can control time. Finally there is this complete hypnosis ability. Each of these abilities is not weaker than him, or even far stronger than his ability. It's scary. How to deal with complete hypnosis? I don't think observation Hockey can lock his position. Just now, my observation Hockey clearly felt that Murphy was clearly in the air. Kizaru also scratched his head and said helplessly. Even observation Hockey can't perceive it. The level of complete hypnosis can be said to be too terrifying. There is no way to crack it at all, right? I can't take a shot at that guy easily. If I take a shot at will, I don't know who will die next. It was also the first time Garp encountered such a troublesome existence. He who once fought all over the world with a pair of iron fists still feels powerless in this situation. If you shoot at will, it will definitely be the same as before. Advertisement. As a companion, it is indeed an extremely reassuring existence, but as an enemy, it is the most terrifying nightmare. It is precisely because we have been companions for so long that we understand how terrifying this man in front of us is. That's right. Complete hypnosis is just one of his means. What's really scary is his own strength. Crane also said nervously. But at this moment, a person suddenly appeared beside Murphy. Master Murphy, the collection has been completed. There is no doubt that the person who came was Lu Chi who had just followed Murphy. Seeing Lu Chi's sudden appearance, the others suddenly remembered that there was another person beside him before. But due to the intense battle just now and the interference from complete hypnosis, almost everyone has forgotten that there is a monster that is far stronger than CPO's strongest ace, Brad. Collect. Sure enough. Although a lot has changed, this man's intelligence remains unchanged. Sure enough, he came to Mariajoy for something. Hearing Lu Chi's words, Sengoku frowned and thought. He also felt that Murphy's attack on Mariajoy was a bit strange, because Murphy was not the kind of emotionalist who would take risks because of his mood, and there must be very rational thinking behind every move. At the same time, Sengoku also had some bad premonition. Since the collection has been completed, there is no need to keep it here. Murphy looked at the surrounding scene and said lightly. At the same time, the figures of Murphy and Lu Chi slowly began to float up into the sky. But before destroying this place, let's take out my victory first. Saying this, Murphy set his sights on the Golden Lion in the distance. Forbidden technique space transfer. In just an instant, the entire space where the Golden Lion was located was transferred in front of Murphy. Not only Kido 1 to 99, but even Kido of the forbidden technique level, Faye can easily use it. The Hogyoku that has been cultivated for me for so long can finally be harvested. Murphy simply reached out his hand in the direction of the Golden Lion, wanting to take the Hogyoku directly from the Golden Lion's chest. Advertisement. But in the face of ordinary movements, Golden Lion did not dare to be careless in the slightest. Quote. Backtrack. In the next second, Golden Lion's position returned to its original position. Oh, have you traveled back in time? Seeing Golden Lion using his abilities like this, Faye asked curiously. But Golden Lion apparently didn't have time to answer Murphy's question. The power of time is indeed terrifying. As long as time is stopped, all attacks will be nullified. And if you can go back in time, you can even recover all injuries in an instant. However, such terrifying power is also not a small burden for Golden Lion. If it is not for the power of Hogyoku, he may not be able to hold on to it long ago. After all, the total amount of Reiatsu is far from enough. Nuo Jiao Jiao, that's right. As long as I can stop time, I won't lose. Golden Lion panted. Obviously, stopping time is much more difficult than going back in time. If it wasn't because he was too afraid of Murphy's power, he wouldn't use this trick at will. Immediately afterwards, Golden Lion slowly pulled out a knife from his waist. Shikai. In other words, this guy has been able to manipulate time without using Shikai before. Chapter 183 The Duel Between Reiatsu. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 183 The Duel Between Reiatsu. Stop the hour hand, stop the clock, all things are forbidden for eternity. Along with the Golden Lion releasing his own power, a piece of gray began to spread around his back as the center. Many people subconsciously want to get out of the Golden Lion's ability range. However, the gray area covers everything in the entire Mariajoy in just an instant. Everyone remained motionless in the previous second's posture. All sounds stopped, and the world became extraordinarily quiet. Except, a footstep sounded suddenly. How is it possible? Seeing Murphy walking within the time he stopped, Golden Lion began to tremble all over. It was obvious that time had stopped, and Murphy was clearly within the influence range of his ability, but Murphy completely ignored his power and walked here swaggeringly. Is it strange? Murphy just walked towards the Golden Lion step by step. The faint Reiatsu emanating from Murphy is extremely chilling. Let me tell you one thing. If my Reiatsu is far more than 063 yours, then your ability will not be effective against me. Saying this, the huge and outrageous Reiatsu in Murphy's body exploded completely. If Golden Lion's Reiatsu is as huge as a lake, then Murphy's Reiatsu is like all the water in the world, whether it is the sea, lakes, or rivers. Advertisement. And Reiatsu's suppression isn't just random bullshit. Just like Gote 13's Sui Feng's ability, the first attack plants the death mark, Fengwenhua, and the second attack hits the same part. No matter who the opponent is, they must die, but there is only one exception, that is, being killed by Reiatsu far more than crushed people don't work. Moreover, after all, the so-called ability is only based on the strength of the user. A little ability is terrifying, and it is indeed almost invincible among opponents of the same level. But in the face of the stronger, the weak will be weak after all. No matter how incomprehensible the ability may seem, no matter how powerful and cool it is nothing more than a trick when facing someone stronger than yourself. What the hell is this Reiatsu? It's above my time power. Impossible. Impossible. My time power is absolutely invincible. Golden Lion seemed to be crazy, and his face was very ugly. Impossible. Holding Sakura Tensmuku, Golden Lion quickly flew towards Murphy's direction. The flow of time cannot be changed. This is the order and rule of this world. It is absolutely impossible to be broken. Quote. Dazzling golden slashes crazily attacked Murphy, trying to stop Murphy from advancing. Order. Rules. The so-called rules are just made for the weak who can't survive if they don't abide by the rules. While talking, a terrifying slash shot straight at the Golden Lion in the next second. 2. Instantly tore the atmosphere. Clang. Sparks splashed everywhere, and the flash caused by the slash made people unable to open their eyes. The friction of the rapid collision instantly melted the surrounding matter, causing waves of shock waves from a distance. Violent explosions soared into the sky, and hot waves surged continuously. Advertisement. It's a pity that in this world where time has been stopped, only 2 people can see this scene. Don't underestimate people. Speed up time. Golden Lion bit his lips tightly, and instantly used the ability to speed up time on himself, directly piercing Murphy's body with the knife in his hand. Swallowed by eternal time. Where the blade was, the vortex of time began to twist, as if to swallow Heifei into it. Still don't understand. The battle between us is a duel between Reiatsu. The gap between you and BCDJ, me is too far. In front of Murphy, a 100 million layer spiritual shield was blocking between Golden Lion's knife and Murphy's body, and the 100 million layer spiritual shield was particularly dazzling under the mutual refraction. The terrifying time-swallowing power kept breaking through the spiritual shield, but in the end it was nothing more than a drop in the bucket. The struggle like a clown is about to come to an end. Honestly, return the power of Hogyoku that I gave you. Puff. With no room for reaction, Murphy's arm went straight through the Golden Lion's chest. In an instant, flesh and blood rolled up, and blood gushed out suddenly. However, for a person of Golden Lion's level, this level is nothing at all. The crux of the problem is that a bead shining with golden light was directly pulled out from his body. Withdrawing his hand from Golden Lion's chest, bright red blood flowed outward like spring water. Hateful. Advertisement. Golden Lion felt that his body was strange, and his complexion became extremely ugly. For them, Hogyoku is as important as the heart. To lose Hogyoku is to lose one's heart directly. Although it is said that with the strength of the Golden Lion, it will not die immediately, but the strength will also be continuously reduced. Even this gray world where time has stopped has slowly begun to shake. After all, is it just a world maintained by the power of Hogyoku? Once Hogyoku is lost, it can't even be maintained. Watching this gray world slowly collapse, and those who gradually began to be able to move marine CPO people, Murphy looked at Golden Lion with some disdain. In just 10 seconds, this world completely disappeared. And when the others woke up from the still world, they found that the Golden Lion had completely lost signs of life. And in Murphy's hand, a Hogyoku was shining brightly. That's a whole Hogyoku. Is that Golden Lion dead? What just happened? As that guy's complete hypnosis ability again. Chapter 184 Establishment of Hueco Mundo. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 184 Establishment of Hueco Mundo. Since time was stopped by Golden Lion just now, none of the people here understood what happened just now, thinking that Golden Lion's injury was caused by Murphy using the power of complete hypnosis. All the things that should be taken have been obtained. I wish you good luck. Hado's 96 One-Sword Fire. Burial. The strongest Kido of the burning type. If it is not because of defects, one must sacrifice one's body as a medium, otherwise 10-knife cremation is definitely the strongest Kido over 99 strings of Kido 5 swirling dragons of destruction. But for the current Murphy, it's just losing an arm as a medium, and he, who has the power of immortality, doesn't care about this loss at all. Terrifying flames were generated in Murphy's hands, and then they were thrown down lightly and casually. The endless flames erupted like a volcanic eruption, and what's even more incredible is that the huge flames were like a big knife, and the moment it fell on the ground, it directly formed a knife. A huge flame knife as high as 100 meters. It finally burst open. The flame's big knife directly cut the entire red line from Mariajoy as the center, and a huge and incomparable passage directly connected the first half and the second half of the Grand Line. The Marines and the CPO each figured out how to evade Murphy's attack. Advertisement. But even if the attack didn't target them, more than half of Marine and CPO's people were instantly killed. The few people who survived almost all had a lot of scars on their bodies. There is only one exception. Around Ziyuan, a series of spiritual shields completely protected her, and she was not affected by the cremation just a little bit. Is he protecting me? Looking at the surrounding spiritual power shields, Ziyuan had some indescribable feelings in his heart. Since you can protect me, why do you have to do that? Seeing Murphy, who was getting further and further away from him, Ziyuan shouted into the air. Why? Gion, do you know? Looking at the circle below, Murphy replied lightly. No one stands in the sky from the beginning, whether it is you or me, even God. But the empty window of the throne above the sky is about to end. While speaking, Ziyuan could clearly feel that a complete change had taken place in his whole temperament. The gentle and humble look that he thought was extremely gentle has completely disappeared. Starting today, I'm at the top. While speaking, Murphy took off the black glasses frame on the bridge of his nose that had followed him for decades. Under the awe of Reiatsu, it instantly disappeared. The soft and gentle eyes in the past completely disappeared, replaced by a pair of eyes that made people feel chilling, arrogant and stern. At the same time, put your right hand on your forehead, pull back your hair from the front to the back of your head, and you will completely change the way you feel to others. Advertisement. It is completely different from the usual harmless, elegant and easy-going gentleman, full of domineering and self-awareness. It's hard to imagine that a person's temperament can change so much just by taking off his glasses and changing his hairstyle. Even Ziyuan, who was most familiar with Murphy, was dumbfounded at the scene in front of him, not knowing what to say. You are no longer alone. This is the most intuitive feeling. Self-confident, looking down at the world, reigning in the world like an overlord. By the way, from today onwards, Suigetsu Archipelago will belong to us. I hope you don't cross the line. After leaving these words, black cracks appeared on Murphy's back, and soon the he and Lucci swallowed it. The current Suigetsu Archipelago has become another Hueco Mundo in a completely different sense. And what is left here is only a group of dead and wounded guys. A gust of wind blew past, and everything here became extraordinarily calm. All that remains is countless fires and chilling rubble. A few days later, open black lens bracket. The former Marine Admiral mutinied, Mariajoy was destroyed, close black lens bracket. Such a news appeared on the top headlines. Of course, this news can be said to instantly ignite the fishing boats of the whole world. Advertisement. Admiral of Headquarters mutiny. This is no small matter. Especially when the traitor is Murphy. One must know that Murphy is recognized as the strongest Marine Admiral in the entire world, and one can imagine the consequences of such a character's betrayal. And not only that, just the day after world government released this news and crushed all other news, the World Economic News Agency also made a big move at the same time. Open black lens bracket. Hunter Guild, World Economic News Service, and Capital of Gold jointly established Hueco Mundo. The resident is Suigetsu Archipelago, and the supreme leader is Murphy, close black lens bracket. As soon as the news came out, the whole world was watching it. Yesterday, the world government news just announced that Murphy had defected to Marine, and then the three largest neutral forces in the world directly united to announce the establishment of a new agency, and Murphy was the one who made the decision. This simply made it clear that they were going to fight with the world government. Moreover, they blatantly placed the location under the eyes of the world government, the Suigetsu Archipelago. This provocative gesture could no longer be more obvious. Logically speaking, with the character of the world government, I am afraid that Marine led the army to go there on the day they heard the news, preparing to completely erase the Hueco Mundo organization from the Suigetsu Archipelago. However, the sound from Suigetsu Archipelago has been uttered for more than half a month, and the world government still has no action. On the contrary, all Marines and government personnel in Suigetsu Archipelago have been cleared out. Only at this time did someone realize the situation. It may not be as simple as they imagined. Chapter 185 Marine Meeting. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 185 Marine Meeting. It was only at this time that someone connected this matter with some things in the previous world government statement. Mariajoy is destroyed. I'm afraid Mariajoy was not destroyed by sneaky tricks, but was breached openly. And this guy is 100% sure it's Murphy. This is the only explanation that makes sense. And the fact is indeed as the outside world guessed. Most of the strongest shield of CPO has been destroyed. There are countless vice admirals killed in the marine side. The former Admiral Zephyr was killed in battle. The substitute Admiral Kuzan had short legs. The Marine Marshal Sengoku was seriously injured and bedridden, and there are other Marine vice admirals and so on. There are only 3 people with almost no loss of combat power. One is Pelusolino, who found something wrong in advance when Murphy used Kido, September 13th, and escaped directly at the speed of light. The second was Sakazuki, who was not involved in the later battles due to being defeated early. The third was Yuan under the protection of Murphy's spiritual shield. Others, including Garp and Crane, were seriously injured and are still in the Marine hospital. Advertisement. As for the Vice Admiral level, Except for a few who were slightly lucky, the others were almost wiped out. And now only 2 of the 5 elders are still alive. The celestial dragons were almost wiped out when Jillian invaded, and those who survived were basically the ones with the broken pieces in their bodies that protected their lives. And many of these people were secretly killed by Brad, the strongest ace of the CPO, in order to obtain Hogyoku fragments. Coupled with the subsequent one-knife cremation, the number of celestial dragons surviving people can almost be said to be in single digits. Only a few lucky ones survived. But this is normal. After all, there can be some survivors under the nuclear bomb, not to mention the celestial dragons that have Hogyoku in their bodies, which is also a strong resilience. It would be better to say that so many people died, it really deserves to be fat. The current world government and Marine are too busy with their own affairs, so there is no time to take care of Murphy's affairs here. Send Buster call. The results of the Vice Admirals in the past are already obvious, they are all about delivering food. Assembling high-end combat power. The battle at Mariajoy has also clearly demonstrated the gap in combat power between the two sides. It can even be said that those guys who think they have reached the peak power of the world, in the confrontation between Murphy and Golden Lion, exactly like a bunch of babies. Advertisement. And that Golden Lion was easily beheaded, let alone their group of people. Another big question is Murphy's ability, complete hypnosis. Before there is a way to crack this ability, neither the Marine nor the government will choose to take the initiative. Of course, it is impossible for the Marine and the government to do nothing for the sake of their own face. At this time, a very crude high-level meeting was going on in the Marine hospital. Since Sengoku, Garp, Crane and others were seriously injured, they also had to choose this place to start the meeting. At the same time, it is worth mentioning that because Sengoku's injuries are too serious, the hospital has roughly estimated that even if he recovers well later, Sengoku may not be able to take the position of Marine Marshal in the future. Sengoku is also very old, and has already planned to retire, so Sakazuki is now temporarily appointed as the acting Marine Marshal. As for why it is an agent, the reason is also very simple, because it can be said that Sakazuki has never been exposed to training in this area before, because these things have been handed over to Murphy before, and Murphy is originally the next Marshal of the Marine. Almost no one in Marine would object to this point, and the government could only agree with it. If nothing like this happened. But this time things broke out, so no matter what, the final selection of Marshal Marine will definitely change. Besides Murphy, the other 2 Marine Admirals are Sakazuki and Pelusolino. In terms of strength, the 2 are almost on par. In terms of character, although Sakazuki is a bit stubborn or even assertive, his attitude towards pirates and his insistence on justice are worthy of recognition. Advertisement. At least having Sakazuki as the Marine Marshal is much better than having Kizaru the Bastard as the Marshal. About Murphy's matter, my opinion is to offer a reward immediately, and cancel all cooperation between the world government and Marine and the Hunters Guild. If the bounty is offered, let's set it at 6 billion Baileys. After thinking for a while, Sakazuki suggested. Obviously, compared to One Piece Roger, Murphy's threat is significantly greater. That's why Sakazuki proposed such an exaggerated bounty all at once. There is no doubt that the cooperation with the Hunter Guild will be cancelled. I am afraid they will not continue to cooperate with us, but if we want to offer a reward to Murphy, I am afraid that we have to discuss it again. Crane shook his head. He didn't speak good words for Murphy because of his previous relationship, but because this reward order might really not be issued. The current Hueco Mundo seems to have become a brand new opponent that can talk to Marine and the world government on an equal footing. If you treat your opponent as if you were in the past, it will definitely not work. At least their Marine is not qualified to offer a reward for a leader who can have an equal dialogue with the world government, or even a stronger organization. Regarding the matter of offering rewards, wait for the world government's decision 5.7 before making any plans. The top priority now is to send troops to keep an eye on the periphery of the Sabayati archipelago, but absolutely not to enter the territory of the Sabayati archipelago. What Crane said was also recognized by everyone present. Compared with directly confronting the opponent head-on, this decision is quite rational. Chapter 186 Disposing of Rider. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 186 Disposing of Rider. Of course, Murphy didn't care what Marine thought. After what happened with Mariajoy, if they still dare to trouble themselves, then they are really out of their minds. At this time, in the Hunters Guild of Mariajoy, a man was half kneeling on the ground holding his sword, as if he was under terrible pressure. Around this man, several people were silent, not daring to make a sound. And at the top position, Murphy was sitting at the round table facing the door, watching the faces of the people below without any change. There is no doubt that the man kneeling with his sword on the bottom is the vice president of the Hunters Guild, the Lonely Red Rider. To be honest, I expected Golden Lion's betrayal, but it was beyond my expectation that you would lend him your abilities. Murphy looked at Ryder below, and said very puzzled. Since you want to choose to betray, you must do it thoroughly. If Murphy is standing on Ryder's position, since you choose to betray, then 12 should also appear to besiege Mariajoy. But Ryder didn't do this, but gave his ability to Golden Lion in a one-time way, allowing Golden Lion to complete the killing blow. To be honest, Murphy really didn't understand this confusing operation. It's impossible for Ryder to think that he can get away with it by really using this method, right? He wasn't that stupid, and neither was Ryder. Advertisement. That's why Murphy was wondering why Ryder would choose this way to help that Golden Lion guy. And the eyes of other people looking at Ryder are also full of curiosity, and at the same time, there is a trace of anger. Although few people know that Murphy is the top leader of the three neutral organizations, but the people present are the core figures in the core, and they knew from the beginning that Murphy was the political leader of the three organizations. The betrayal of Golden Lion and Ryder naturally aroused the displeasure of many people here. After all, things like traitors are not welcome no matter where they are. What's more, the Hogyoku fragments in their bodies are all from Murphy. Unexpected. But no matter what you do, I will be killed by you, right? Golden Lion and I have touched a red line that is not allowed to be touched. Ryder did not explain too much, but some helplessly shook his head. Master Murphy, is it really okay to just kill Ryder like this? Seeing Ryder's death, Stella asked curiously. The bead that was originally full of Hogyoku's aura just now began to weather at an extremely fast speed after being taken out, and disappeared. Hearing this word, many people present thought secretly, but they didn't understand what Ryder said. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Although there was no actual fight, the unusually strong Reiatsu emanating from the two clearly told Bullet how terrifying this force really is. It seems that you have already realized it. Bullet. Seeing Bullet's expression, the Red Earl beside him laughed and said. And there is only one fragment of Hogyoku in her body to ensure immortality, and she has never pursued excessive power, so she is quite far away from this red line. Advertisement. If you keep asking, you won't be able to find anything. Just wait and see. Murphy replied simply. As that's so. This is your motivation for betrayal, right? Hearing Ryder's explanation, Kei-Fei nodded. Hearing Ryder's whisper, Bullet also felt flustered. This terrifying strength makes people unable to resist the slightest thought. A red line that is not allowed to touch. But Bullet looked up at Murphy, and found that Murphy's expression didn't change in any way. By the time he realized it, Murphy had even dug out the Hogyoku from Ryder's body. Unlike the Hogyoku in Golden Lion, this Hogyoku in Ryder's body is completely blood-colored and looks extremely coquettish. If the real plan of 940 is to leave, compared to the Golden Lion who will come to Murphy head-on, with Ryder's character, I am afraid that it is most likely to find a place to live in seclusion with peace of mind. They didn't notice the slightest trace of Murphy's movement just now. Naturally, he also saw that Ryder was deliberately concealing something, especially why he would do this, it was unknown. P.S. Open black lens bracket 1 close black lens bracket. Perhaps, just treat Ryder as nonsense. But after hearing this, Bullet on the side was suddenly shocked. Advertisement. But Bullet can feel that what Ryder said is probably true. However, the next second Murphy understood what was going on. And why Ryder didn't choose to dodge. This also makes Murphy very curious. Ryder's direct mention of his name directly supports his idea. And he has been working hard in this direction, wanting to obtain a complete Hogyoku. He was smart enough to guess that both Ryder and Golden Lion probably died because they had a complete Hogyoku. That is having a whole Hogyoku. Besides, But what he was a little curious about was that there were obviously still hidden things in what Ryder said, such as why he who chose to betray did not appear in Mariajoy. Seeing Ryder's sudden death, everyone's eyelids twitched. Others may not have noticed what was going on, but he noticed one of the problems. But there's a good chance it has something to do with Ryder's absence from Mariajoy. As the top figure of the Hunters Guild, Bullet naturally knew that Golden Lion and Ryder had one characteristic in common. Immediately afterwards, in the next second, Murphy's figure suddenly appeared behind Ryder, and an arm directly penetrated Ryder's chest, directly grabbing the Hogyoku on Ryder's chest. Chapter 187. Ryder's Plan. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 187. Ryder's Plan. Disappeared. Is that so? Seeing that the Hogyoku in his hand had dissipated, Murphy was taken aback for a moment, but soon understood what was going on. One thing that is certain is that the Hogyoku that just stayed in his hands is absolutely genuine, and there is only one explanation for this situation. As the stand-in similar ability. In addition to the indirect blood-sucking ability, Ryder seems to have acquired other good abilities. He directly crushed the Hogyoku in his hand. Murphy commented lightly, I have to say that the stand-in ability is really useful. After all, it is equivalent to an extra life. It is a very good ability whether it is to find out the opponent's cards or to escape to save one's life. Generally speaking, there is only one ability after Hollow, but Ryder not only obtained the ability to indirect blood-sucking, but also awakened a second completely different ability. To be honest, this made Murphy feel a little bit surprised. This was the first time he had missed a key thing, causing someone to escape directly from his grasp. Forget it. Anyway, the main focus is not on this guy now. After thinking for a while, Murphy also gave up and continued to think about this matter. It's not a big deal for Ryder to escape. Although he lost one ability, Golden Lion's ability has already made him quite satisfied. What's more, that guy Ryder has done so many strange things. If it's just to hide in the dark, then there is no need to go through so much trouble. In Murphy's judgment, there's a good chance that this guy Ryder will still be involved. Advertisement. As for when it will come, it is not clear. And Ryder, who just escaped from the Hunters Guild, has a complete Hogyoku in his body. As a pirate, Big Mom wants to obtain Hogyoku fragments. Even if it is only a Hogyoku fragment, the only chance is to fight those Admiral-level monsters. How about it? Do you want to join forces with me? Big Mom. In front of Big Mom, a man like an old noble vampire stood straight in front of Big Mom. But it is a pity that I am afraid that even with the addition of all the Big Mom pirates, Ryder alone is not an opponent. That is greed for the power of immortality. The information network of the Big Mom pirates is quite terrifying. They were the first among the 4 emperors to get it in the battle about Mariajoy. It is also for this reason that Big Mom quietly listens to Ryder's plan. Cake Island, Big Mom headquarters. What's more, having obtained a complete Hogyoku at this time, Ryder's strength can be said to be terrifying to an unimaginable level. The whole world knows the usefulness of Hogyoku fragments, and it can be said that no one in this world can resist the temptation of this power. They were not eliminated because they were relatively low-key in New World. Advertisement. Middle half of New World. Not only has the ability of immortality, but also has the ability to give users powerful power. However, there are very few ways to obtain Hogyoku fragments. Those who can obtain Hogyoku fragments are either the strongest top hunters in the Hunter Guild or the powerful celestial dragons. And their Big Mom pirates were beaten against Whitebeard. Who, from my understanding, the only ones who picked up that guy recently are you and Bullet, Golden Lion. If it's the 3 of you combined, I don't mind, doesn't it, agree to this plan, but the strongest Golden Lion among you is already dead, and now I don't think you have any chance. Bigmom said with some disdain. In today's world, although the title of 4 emperors sounds very prestigious, in fact, it is their own family members who know their own affairs. Even if she is the only one left in the end, she will not hesitate. P.S. Open black lens bracket 2 close black lens bracket. If you want to obtain a complete Hogyoku, the difficulty is even more difficult. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. If only one Hogyoku's power can deal with that guy, Golden Lion won't be defeated so easily. Ryder said without haste. After all, before using Hogyoku, Ryder could keep pace with the three great pirates by himself. Advertisement. Under the circumstances of this world, is there any four emperors who dare to move big and drive recklessly? Of course not enough. But there is one person who can challenge that guy. Ryder said unhurriedly. It can be said that no one dares. The Hunter Guild is the real strongest combat power, and it is still the kind that can be crushed. After all, the four emperors and Marine Admiral are no longer the world's top or even invincible combat power. At least, if it's a head-on confrontation, that guy has a certain chance of winning. What we have to do is to help that guy create a chance to fight him head-on. Then why did you call us? Even if you can persuade the four emperors to go out together, the so-called four emperors are just guys who live in a corner of the new world, and it's just a joke compared to the giants like the Hunter Guild, that's all. Big Mom said self-deprecatingly. If it can be done, Big Mom can even spare no effort on Cake Island. As long as he can kill Ryder, he will do it immediately. Such a huge temptation. I really want people to agree directly. But I don't think you are sure that you can deal with that monster. Big Mom stared at Ryder, eyes full of endless greed. Hearing this, Big Mom suddenly became interested. He never felt that his strength could be used against Murphy. The gap in strength level was too great, and it was simply not possible to make up for it with a single star. Even a monster as strong as the Golden Lion is easily played with in front of Sean. Chapter 188. Ryder's Whole Card. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 188. Ryder's Whole Card. Of course, Ryder couldn't deny Big Mom's words. Others got information about Murphy's combat effectiveness from intelligence. But he had experienced firsthand just how terrifying Murphy's power really was. The power that almost makes people feel hopeless is simply beyond the reach of human beings. You should have heard of the man I'm talking about, the captain of the Spades Pirates, Fire Fist Ace. This man has the power to defeat Murphy head-on. Ryder said very seriously, without paying any attention to the look on the side. The strange Big Mom, and the red-haired and many who were silently listening to the news through the phone bug. Spade Pirates Captain Fire Fist Ace. They have all heard of this man, and it can be said that they are very, very familiar. No way. Since Ace entered New World, it can be said that New World has been turned upside down. Even if there is no direct impact on Big Mom and Kaido, but some of their industries are more or less involved. The Whitebeard Pirates, as the main target of Ace, suffered heavy losses. Advertisement. But almost no one present took Ace seriously. 903. In their view, Ace is just a noisy guy in the new generation. There will be one or two guys like this every few years, and then they will make a name for themselves in New World. To be honest, people at the level of their four emperors are already used to these people being so noisy. After hearing this name, Big Mom and the others could not help but flash a hint of disappointment in their eyes. Although they are full of fear to challenge Murphy, but at the same time, as a pirate, the temptation is also quite strong. After all, pirates are guys who like to take risks, so how could they not be interested in Hogyoku's power? So although they say they don't want to be an enemy of Murphy, in fact, everyone's small calculations are very precise. But Ryder's next sentence made everyone's face change. That guy has been trained by Murphy since he was not born. He was raised by Murphy before he was born. What's going on? Big Mom asked curiously. Fire Fist Ace is the son of One Piece Roger, BCCG. When that kid was a few years old, Keife invested to complete Hogyoku and the Logia Mera Mera fruit specially found for him in Fire Fist Ace. 2 whole Hogyoku. Hearing this number, even Kaido and the redhead, who were silently listening to the conversation in the other part of the phone bug, couldn't help but exclaimed. 1 whole Hogyoku equals 40 Hogyoku fragments, 2 whole Hogyoku equals 80 Hogyoku fragments. With this amount of Hogyoku, it's easy to build an army that starts with at least a Marine Elite Vice Admiral. Advertisement. With slightly better talent, with the power of Hogyoku fragments, you can also directly have the combat history of Marine Admiral. Such a huge fighting force can almost sweep the 4 emperors and even the naval headquarters. And the meaning represented by the complete Hogyoku is even more different. The one with the full Hogyoku, Murphy, Golden Lion, Ryder. Of course, now add the Fire Fist Ace. Almost no one dared to question the strength of the first three people. How obvious the lifting effect Hogyoku brings is almost visible to the naked eye. A person owns 2 Hogyoku, and Rider said that there is a certain basis for Ace of Fire Fist to be able to fight Murphy head-on. If it works, 4 Emperors, Rider, and Fire Fist Ace. This lineup may really have a chance to challenge Murphy. In other words, as long as there is a stalemate for a while, Big Mom does not intend to fight Murphy head-on. His goal is Hogyoku's power from beginning to end. If there was a fight, she herself would absolutely avoid Murphy and grab Hogyoku. Once she succeeds, she will withdraw immediately. Even, he would not hesitate to bury all his sons and daughters anywhere. Advertisement. After all, as long as she has the power of Hogyoku, she can completely build a country that is even bigger than the previous 10,000 kingdoms. The charm of the word, immortality, is too great, even to the point that it can drive people at the level of 4 emperors crazy. But talking is not enough. We have to see that guy's strength with our own eyes. Besides, are you sure that Fire Fist Ace will help us? As you said just now, that guy was cultivated by Murphy secretly. If you know your own strength, it comes from that man. Whether Fire Fist Ace will fight against Murphy is a big question. Big Mom said to Ryder. In fact, anyone with a discerning eye can already see that Big Mom is already very excited. As for the question he asked, if Ryder is not sure that Fire Fist Ace will follow him here, he will not come to do such a thing. You don't need to worry about this, I have already learned about my life experience and everything. At this time, Ace walked in directly from the outside. But what people care about is not the aura emitted by Ace itself, but the knife in Ace's hand. There is no scabbard. In other words, there is probably no scabbard that can match this knife in this world. Just putting it here has an extremely terrifying power. This terrifying power is simply unbelievable. The power of the 2 Hogyoku. It is worthy of this year's supernova. There are really fierce guys. Seeing Ace in front of him, Big Mom shrank his pupils. Although there was no fight, the deterrent power emanating from Ace is no less than that of 4 emperors. When Ace and Whitebeard fought before, there was no such strength, but after this period of time, especially Ace's heart knot was a little loose. Chapter 189 Aizen Template Unlock 100%. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 189 Aizen Template Unlock 100%. After talking for a while with Roger, the sword spirit of Ryujin Jaka, who is also Ace's father, Ace let go of his mother and life experience. Simultaneously, he had also seen through what a terrifying existence Murphy was. Even if he knew that Murphy had spent so much energy on his training, he was also ready to bite back without hesitation. Of course, how much influence Roger has on Ace is unknown, but what is certain is that this influence will definitely not be small. In that case, then I agree with your plan. After seeing this scene, Big Mom also directly agreed with Ryder's plan. The 2 Hogyoku in Ace's body are qualified to let her take risks. Coupled with Ryder's strength, if they cooperate well, there may be a very good opportunity. In that case, then I agree. Laozi has long been upset with those guys from the Hunters Guild. At this time, Kaido of the Beasts also spoke through the phone bug. Advertisement. He doesn't want to care about so much, he can't miss such an interesting war. Not being able to join Mariajoy's battle last time had already made him quite disappointed, and he would naturally not give up the opportunity to fight on a larger scale this time. Since you guys want to join, then I'll come too. Seeing that Kaido and Big Mom were about to join, the redhead was ready to agree. Now Hueco Mundo is indeed too powerful a new force, with high-end combat power, economic power, and the ability to control fishing boats. Even the world government may not be as good as Hueco Mundo in terms of functions. This organization that has never shown any ambitions now suddenly opens its mouth, and the redhead is not so pure that Hueco Mundo will only be satisfied with the current situation. If we don't unite at this time, the world will definitely enter a new round of reshuffle. This is not what the redhead wants to see. Is there another Whitebeard left? That old guy is really too stubborn. Seeing that the other 2 agreed, Big Mom also had a headache thinking. Big Mom also contacted Whitebeard before, but that guy Whitebeard didn't bother to listen to what Big Mom had to say, and directly told them to come to the Moby Dick to talk in person if they had something to do. Although Whitebeard is not the strongest in the world, but on the side of the pirates, Whitebeard is still the well-deserved leader of the four emperors, and the degree of arrogance is really unimaginable. Coupled with a new target, Whitebeard's strength is not standing still. Advertisement. At this time, Whitebeard, even if he is much older, his strength is not much worse than when he was 40 or 50 years old. It's easy to deal with that old man. Didn't Lai Ying, the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, die at the hands of the Hunter Guild decades ago? Although it is said that it was the Golden Lion who did it, the people who spend money but Murphy. You must be able to see how much connection there is. Ryder said with a smile. Although Whitebeard is arrogant, in Ryder's view, Whitebeard is still very easy to deal with. After learning about the relationship between Murphy and Golden Lion, how could Whitebeard not guess that Hunting Shadow's death was entirely because the Hunters Guild wanted to make the Whitebeard pirates stand out? As long as they put their cards on the table, and encourage Whitebeard to avenge his son, and he also specially prepared an extra Hogyoku shard to restore Whitebeard to his youthful physical strength, presumably Whitebeard will never give up on this good chance. As the saying goes, 10 years is not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Whitebeard has been honing his strength for decades, and it is obvious that he has not given up the idea of revenge for Hunting Shadow. It seems that you are sure, so this matter is up to you. We don't bother to accept this closed door. Seeing Ryder's confident look, BIGMOM also unceremoniously dismissed this matter. Please leave it to Ryder. She could even imagine Whitebeard's disdainful expression when she boarded Whitebeard's boat to talk to Whitebeard. Ask for flowers. Although Whitebeard is said to be the strongest of the four emperors, he is still not happy to let him be rejected. It's just boring self-esteem. Ryder glanced at Big Mom lightly, and after finishing speaking, Ryder walked out without looking back. Advertisement. And on the other side, colleagues in New World who were surging under the tide, and on the other side, Murphy also opened his own system panel after a long absence. After the first battle at Mariajoy, the template before him had completely changed. Congratulations to the host who has unlocked 100% of the Aizen template, you can choose the next template. All energy systems can choose the General Reiatsu. Close black lens bracket. Xiao Gucheng. The fourth true ancestor, with the curse of immortality and the huge magical power that surpasses the dragon veins of the earth, it rules 12 beasts with the power to destroy the world. Close black lens bracket. Juyuan Asuka. The gift is called prestige, and it is manifested as the ability to use the power of words to manipulate others. The real power is to allow the simulated godhead to reside on the other side through words. The gift can increase the degree of sparks. 2. Vaporization of iron. It can upgrade ordinary lightning to sky thunder. Sylvia Lunaheim. The student council president of Quinville Children's Academy, ranked first in the sequence of the academy. Have a cheerful, gentle and straightforward personality. Known as the singer, she is the world's top idol, and her nickname is the Witch of War. These three options were before Murphy. One is the power of the fourth primogenitor in blood-devouring strike, one is the ability of the problem child from one of the heroines in Otherworld, and the third is a very eye-catching character in the school battle city. If you only look at strength, there is no doubt that the destructive power of the fourth true ancestor is stronger. Chapter 190 Almighty Ability. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 190 Almighty Ability. And in terms of level and developability, the power of the gift of prestige is obviously higher, and it can even be said to have the same ability as granting others a godhead. And the world view of problem children from Otherworld is even bigger, and Wei Guang's abilities are highly developable no matter how you look at it. Normally speaking, whether it is to choose the power of the fourth primogenitor or the gift of Asuka, it is a very normal thing. However, what Murphy cares more about is a reminder given by the system before. Replaces all energy systems with Reiatsu within him. In other words, if he chooses the fourth primogenitor, he does not need to consume mana to summon the beast, but consumes Reiatsu to summon it. Of course, Murphy is naturally, 293, very happy about this. Originally, the strength of Aizen was based on the huge Reiatsu. Among the combat power is a special mark, the mark given to Aizen by Yhwach is the strength of Reiatsu. This Reiatsu intensity even made Yhwach feel out of control. And, now that he has Hogyoku to provide him with unlimited Reiatsu, it would be great if he could replace all energy systems with Reiatsu. Advertisement. And if you have to take this factor into consideration, Murphy couldn't help but set his sights on the third person. Sylvia Lunheim. Although this world is only a slightly weaker world in comparison, Sylvia has a completely different characteristic. Even this feature made Murphy have a strong desire to choose Sylvia's template, so as to obtain the ability. This ability is omnipotent. Can manipulate the omnifactor to cause any phenomenon by singing a song containing impressions, but the healing ability does not count. The stronger the ability, the greater the star power consumed. Although it is said that treatment cannot be performed, apart from treatment, Sylvia's ability is indeed omnipotent. Although singing is a bit difficult for Murphy, in fact, singing is just a carrier. As long as you name the corresponding ability and imagine it, and spend a certain amount of Reiatsu, you can do anything. In a sense, this is a Kido with countless abilities, and whether it is destroying, restraining, finding people, or obtaining information, you can use this ability to advance. With Murphy's mastery of Kido, coupled with Sylvia's ability, it might not be difficult to make this matter a reality. And in a sense, if Sylvia's omnipotent ability is really brought into play, it may not be difficult to directly copy the other two abilities. After all, Sylvia's ability is omnipotent. The omnipotent ability plus the endless Reiatsu, it is hard to imagine how powerful it will be. Advertisement. System. I choose to lock Sylvia's ability template. As soon as he finished speaking, a large wave of memories suddenly poured into Murphy's mind, and Murphy's body was still sitting firmly on the chair without any abnormality. But if you observe carefully, you can find that Murphy's even and long breathing began to become rapid, and a few drops of cold sweat involuntarily fell on his forehead, as if he had just experienced a great battle. Cold sweat ran down his face to his chin, and finally dripped onto the ground. He also couldn't help biting his lips, and Murphy could see that now it was painful. This kind of pain does not come from physical pain, but genuine mental pain, tearing. The splitting headache was unbearable. The pain lasted for about half a minute before slowly beginning to relax. And Murphy's consciousness returned to his own body. It's been a long time since I felt this kind of pain. No, I'm afraid I haven't even felt pain for a long time. He raised his hand to support his forehead. The world only felt it when it unlocked the first template. And even scarier. Compared with Sylvia, Aizen as a Shinigami has a longer lifespan and more memories. If it is not because of strong willpower, I am afraid that when he unlocked the Aizen template for the first time, he would have been unable to bear this pain becoming a lunatic. But at the same time, he has already felt what Sylvia's omnipotent ability is all about. Advertisement. Is this the omnipotent ability? It's not as difficult to change as imagined. After feeling his own ability, Murphy also felt how to control his own ability. Crack. 2 words were spit out lightly. Suddenly, a mirror in front of Murphy began to shatter multi-screen, and then shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. Moreover, the most important thing is that the way the mirror in front of him shattered was exactly the same as the image of the shattered mirror that just appeared in his mind, and even the crack pattern of the shards was exactly the same. A few seconds later, looking at the mirror that fell in front of him, Murphy said with a slightly trembling voice, "Almighty." Combined with the huge Reiatsu in his body, Murphy now has a little understanding of how terrifying this power is. But I have to say that the power consumption of Almighty is really unusual. If in the past he needed to use Reiatsu to shatter a mirror, the cost of Reiatsu was 1, then the Reiatsu cost of shattering the mirror with Fang Neng's ability is 4.7 Reiatsu, which is 10. Although it costs more Reiatsu, it doesn't mean that this ability is useless. Because he can even precisely control the way the mirror shatters, and even the lines after it shatters. Simple destruction and such exquisite destruction are naturally incomparable. Chapter 191 Crazy Consumption. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 191 Crazy Consumption. Possessing extremely strong power, the power that can destroy everything is naturally quite terrifying, but it also has things that the power of destruction cannot do. And almighty power. Everything except healing can be done directly, which is significantly more versatile in terms of versatility. For example, explore. As Murphy's fingers slowly slid across the air, a huge mirror with a radius of about 1 meter appeared in front of him. Of course, this is not a mirror in the ordinary sense, nor is it a mirror that Murphy uses to make a crown, but a detective magic used to detect designated people, which can be used to detect information. The source of this ability is an ability used by Overall Facebone King for investigation. And Murphy also imagined based on this ability, and reproduced it with Almighty ability. Then, a small boat appeared in the mirror. As the small boat moved forward, the sea surface was continuously broken, and the people on this small boat couldn't be more familiar. Lonely Red Rider. Advertisement. Although the surrounding sea looks almost unchanged 12, anyone who is familiar with sailing can see that this is not a static picture. Master Murphy. This. Lu Chi, who had been standing next to Murphy before as a guard, couldn't help asking when he saw Ryder. What's wrong? Murphy asked without turning his head while looking at the scene in the mirror. This. Hearing Murphy's question, Lu Chi hesitated a little. Unlike everyone else, Lu Chi feels like the perfect tool. Like Ulquiorra, who is so loyal beyond belief that he doesn't know anything else. When Murphy asked him what the problem was, Lu Chi couldn't even ask such a simple question. As far as he is concerned, he only knows how to obey Murphy's orders. Lu Chi, can you tell which sea area this is? Murphy asked immediately after noticing Lu Chi's stuttering. Obviously, Lu Chi also shook his head. In this endless sea, what can he see? The sea area of New World is really too big, and the area contained in this mirror cannot be said to be only a very small area, and it can even be said that it is just enough to accommodate a small boat. I want to judge from this rider's position as indeed unlikely. Map. Advertisement. Immediately afterwards, Murphy waved his finger again, and a huge map appeared directly in front of him, and an extremely bright red dot was shining in a certain sea area. Are you moving towards the sea where Whitebeard is entrenched? If that's the case, I'll just go over and intercept it. Seeing the direction of Ryder's movement, Murphy thought in his heart. However, just when he was about to use this omnipotent ability to travel in super long distance space to find Ryder, he suddenly felt that the Reiatsu in his body began to be consumed crazily. Murphy, who originally planned to use the teleportation ability, stopped immediately. It seems that the ultra-long distance teleportation costs too much Reiatsu, which is really troublesome. He scratched his head helplessly. Although his ability is omnipotent, after all, the Reiatsu consumed is too terrifying. What's more, such things as ultra-long distance space movement, even with Murphy's current Reiatsu, it is difficult to directly complete it. Although he can teleport there, it may drain all the Reiatsu in his body in an instant. Facing Ryder in his heyday in such a state is simply a joke. However, he was relieved when he saw the pitiful data that the template unlocking degree on the system was only 1%. He still has too little mastery of the omnipotent ability. If he needs to drain all the Reiatsu in his body for 1% of his omnipotent ability, then in turn, if he can completely unlock the omnipotent ability, even if it is super far, it only takes 1% of the Reiatsu in the body to move from space to space. All in all, we still have to increase the level of ability unlocking first. Let that fellow Ryder let him go for now. Soon, Murphy gave up the idea of continuing to look for Ryder. After all, he already has a way to find Ryder's position at any time. Even if Ryder wants to join Whitebeard, Murphy thinks it doesn't matter. The level of strength gap is too big, it can even be said that it is too big for them to imagine. Advertisement. As long as Murphy is willing to do it, it can be said that this matter can be solved at any time. Compared with Ryder, Murphy is now more interested in how to unlock more Sylvia's templates and use the ability of Universal more widely, instead of just finding someone. Even super long distance can't even move in space. System, can you send me to another world now? Murphy looked at the system template in front of him and asked in his mind. The previous battle at Mariajoy wiped out all the experience of Marine and World Government's high-end combat power. After the Aizen 607 template is unlocked to 100%, the rest is all about enhancing Murphy in the way of enhancing Reiatsu. All that's left now are the people from the 4 emperors. It is obviously not enough to use these people to fill Sylvia's template. Before, he was willing to wait 20 years to refresh the experience points of these people because many famous guys hadn't reached their peak at that time, and even though his strength already had a lot of voice in this world, but in many other worlds, it is still not enough to see. And now that Murphy already possesses a fighting power that surpasses Aizen, there are probably not many people who can easily defeat him in many worlds. Only places where individual gods and Buddhas walk all over the ground can make him feel pressured. Chapter 192. Marine who sits on the mountain and watches tigers fight. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 192. The Marine who's sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. In other places, even if he is really at the level of a god or Buddha, he is not without the power to fight, at least to a large extent. There is no problem with self-protection. According to the wishes of the host, the world can be changed at any time, but the world change is random. Please change the world immediately. Close black lens bracket. No. Murphy chose no without further ado. Although he already has this plan, he doesn't plan to leave yet. Because there is still an extremely important thing that has not been resolved in this place, and that is Ryujin Jaka in the hands of Ace. Although he already possesses the power beyond Aizen, the power of the sword Ryujin Jaka is still undoubted, and under his deliberate cultivation, Ace will definitely be able to obtain Bankai very quickly, and possess extremely terrible power. Coupled with the two Hogyoku in his body, even if the effect of Hogyoku is not complete, and Ryujin Jaka is not the original Ryujin Jaka, but with the cooperation of Ace and Roger, I am afraid that Bankai will be Bankai in a very fast time, and possesses a fighting power comparable to that of Captain Yamamoto. And it also has the power of Devil Fruit and Hogyoku. The upper limit may be even more terrifying than Captain Yamamoto. Even for the current Murphy, it is difficult to fight head-to-head with Captain Yamamoto, and he can only win through other methods. Advertisement. After all, the guy who claims to be the strongest Shinigami in the Soul Society in the Millennium is not talking about it. If it weren't for crushing Aizen in terms of IQ, there would be no way to make a splash in Yamamoto's hands. Quote. Isn't it good? The four emperors are wiped out. We only need to control the first half of the Grand Line and the four seas, and this era of great pirates will soon end. Kuzan said with a lazy look on his face. This huge strength naturally gave them a strong sense of belonging to the Hunter Guild. That is, the Hunters Guild does not have the ability to act like an army, and the Hunters Guild and the pirates in the Suigetsu archipelago will definitely have conflicts over territory due to Marine's retreat. Hueco Mundo, a huge organization, instantly had the power to challenge the world government positively, and it seemed to have become a huge force at the same level as the world government. Among other things, they did not dare to send a reward order to Hueco Mundo. He will neither destroy nor maintain useless things, but just let them develop at will. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. It's because of seeing us evacuate that New World is making a fuss, isn't it? But the problem also exists. He himself has no intention of implicating the hegemony of this world. When he leaves to go to other worlds, it doesn't matter at all even if the three major forces of the Hunters Guild, the World Economic News Agency, and the capital of gold are destroyed. As soon as Kuzan's words came out, many Marine generals present also had different expressions. However, Crane completely failed to see clearly what kind of person Murphy was, and only analyzed the war situation that may arise in the future purely from the perspective of interests. Advertisement. So for the control of Fire Fist Ace, Murphy still has to ensure that the opponent is always under his control and cannot escape his control. In terms of strategic interests, this is beyond doubt. P.S. Open black lens bracket 1 close black lens bracket. Of course, in Sakazuki's view, the mere four emperors, as long as Murphy needs it, can be wiped out in the blink of an eye. But now everything has changed overnight. Although this is the best solution, it is too much. Qian Zhao hurt Marine's face. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. As Marine spent so much military expenditure, he failed to kill the pirates, but asked his opponent to help kill the pirates. According to the information from the CPO in our Marine system, the actions of the New World Four Emperors have clearly begun to become active. Marine's strength and high-end combat power are no longer enough to maintain the New World situation, and Suigetsu Archipelago must also give up. Otherwise, once this force gets out of control, the consequences will be absolutely devastating. Things are not that simple. If Marine retreats, how the New World of Hueco Mundo will change is also a big problem. Crane said with his chin propped on his hands. But cabinets. Advertisement. Indeed. There is absolutely nothing wrong with what Kuzan said. As Marines, they should have such awareness. The original Hunter Guild was so powerful, but it couldn't impact the world government and marine, because the bounty hunters were too scattered and did not have the unified action of the army. In other words, even if they really want to choose this way, it is best not to publicize it openly. Well, do whatever you want. Kuzan also realized that his words touched the hearts of some people, so he could only spread his hands helplessly. Moreover, more than 90% of the bounty hunters dare not confront the world government head-on. But you must know that these things are completely meaningless to Murphy, whether it is the site or the land, it doesn't matter. On this issue, many Marine generals agree with Kuzan's view, and many Marine generals disagree with this view. It is really inappropriate for such words to come out of Marine's mouth. Indeed, Hueco Mundo announced its establishment so forcefully, the plot is definitely not small, and the evacuation of Marine is bound to be an important piece of news that ignited the chaos in New World. At this time, we just need to sit back and watch the Battle of New World. It's enough for 4 emperors and Hueco Mundo to conflict. Sakazuki also analyzed. First half of the Grand Line. It's really troublesome. The Marine side has just shrunk its power to the first half of the Grand Line and the area around the world, and New World started to make trouble again. Okay. These are still within the controllable range, and it doesn't matter if the entire territory of New World is handed over to those guys. Sengoku said with a headache when he saw the crowd's discussions, and at the same time, he felt a little unspeakable angry. Chapter 193 The situation will change. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 193 The situation will change. Is the situation going to change? Far away in an unknown corner of the Grand Line, near the port, a blind man was standing at the port, looking at the sea in the distance, and said with a heavy face, "The current Hunter Guild is not what it used to be. Is it the Hunter Guild I thought it was, or is it different from the Hunter Guild I thought it was from the very beginning?" Although it is said that he is a blind person, no one dares to underestimate this guy in front of him. The reason is also very simple. The blind man in front of him is wearing the highest level hunter badge of A+ level of the Hunter Guild. Different from A level, the strength of A+ level is even more terrifying to an unimaginable level. It used to represent the strongest combat power under the 3 presidents of the Hunter Guild. It can even directly rival the New World's 4 emperors. This is what an A+ level hunter stands for. And the person in front of him is Yishao, who is known as the Blind Swordsman. His strength is unbelievably terrifying, and he is a genuine monster-level figure. I thought I could achieve my own justice in the Hunters Guild, but it seems that 003 should go to Marine. I thought with a smile and shook my head. He didn't join Marine before because there were certain problems within Marine itself, such as receiving too much control from the world government. Advertisement. As an institution under the world government, if Marine wants to survive, the first thing to consider is political factors, and only then can it consider its own justice. Therefore, Yishao gave up joining Marine and chose the Hunter Guild with a high degree of freedom. Although the nature of the Hunters Guild is somewhat gray, at least it will not restrict him and force him to do things that are not in line with his own justice. But now, after the Hunters Guild has opened its bloody mouth, no one knows what the final result will be, but Yishao has no plans to return to the Hunters Guild. With his strength, he has no way to fight against the Hunter Guild for the time being, so Yishao directly gave up his plan to go back and planned to join the Marine directly. Originally thought that with a lifespan of immortality, he would have enough time to realize his own justice, but after all these days he finally understood that a person's power is limited after all, and if he wanted to really realize his own justice, only by putting yourself in a high position, and then using your own power to change Marine, let more people complete this justice. Besides Yishao, there are a few people who are also in a rather awkward position now. An extremely hot news suddenly spread from the direction of New World. This is the only way to have hope. Under external pressure, the 2 talents were able to develop Ryujin Jaka's Bankai. In particular, everyone knew that although these 7 people were members of the Hunter Guild in name, they were actually just tools used by the world government to monitor the Hunter Guild. You must know that the outside world's perception of the New World 4 emperors is a group of lawless guys who can actually sit together and talk honestly. The New World Marines all evacuated. Originally, they thought that an earth-shaking battle would start among the 4 emperors to redemarcate the territory of the New World. They didn't expect these guys to sit together. Even though each of them possesses extraordinary strength, How can they stand alone in the center of the confrontation between the two most powerful organizations in the sea? After all, this group of people has always been called the lackeys of the world government by the pirates of New World. Advertisement. Seeing that Ace was also standing next to 4 emperors in the screen, Murphy said, very gratified. Everyone is very clear that the world is not that simple now. And Murphy has only prepared one path for them, and that is Ryujin Jaka's Bankai. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. However, the contact of the 4 emperors together also caused a lot of shock. However, if he is on the opposite side, it means that Ace needs stronger strength, and the same is true for Roger. Can those guys sit together properly? It looks like they are planning to trouble me. After hearing the news, Murphy couldn't help laughing. Unexpectedly, the 4 emperors could unite in order to trouble him. A month passed in a blink of an eye. This news immediately caused an uproar. Undercurrents of the new world. But I didn't expect that even that bastard Ace came. It seems that Roger did not live up to my expectations. Lu Chi, tell me to go down and officially declare war with the 4 emperors tomorrow. Everyone can participate, and the reward for completing the task is the fragment of Hogyoku. Advertisement. It can be said that the 3 major forces have been mixed up by these 7 people, and now that the Hunters Guild and the world government have fallen out, their positions have become extremely embarrassing. No matter which side it is a difficult choice for Shichibukai, and even becoming a pirate again is a very unwise decision. P.S. Open black lens bracket 2 close black lens bracket. Under Roger's teaching, it was expected that Ace would stand against him. This series of things made everyone feel that the atmosphere of this world was full of depression, and it could even be said to make people feel restless. That's it. 7 warlords of the sea. For no reason, the entire marine retreated. I'm afraid that Bastard Ryder played a big role in this. This group of pirates who used to look like the smartest has now become the funniest group. He was originally a pirate, but was recruited by the government, and then assigned to the Hunters Guild. Because once you become a pirate, you will become the hostile target of all Marine, Hueco Mundo, and even New World pirates. The Hueco Mundo that looks so smooth, BCBH. And now, judging from Ace's appearance at this time, I'm afraid Bankai should have become. Chapter 194. Choice of 7 Warlords of the Sea. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 194. Choice of 7 Warlords of the Sea. Murphy gave instructions to Lu Chi, who was on the side. Indeed. Compared with Marine, the Hunter organization is indeed stronger on the surface, but because the management is too loose, there is no way to gather together. So the actual combat power, if Murphy is not included, may not be as good as Marine. But, if you can offer a reward that no one can refuse, then it's perfectly fine. More than 90% of the people joining the Hunters Guild probably come for this purpose, right? The power of immortality. Even if it's just one time, as long as they can complete an A-level mission to get Hogyoku fragments, they will make a lot of money. How many people are there in the Hunters Guild? Up until now, the number of the Hunters Guild has at least exceeded 100,000. Even if there is a real war, even if it is a fight with Marine, the death rate will not exceed 20%, right? If they win, 80,000 people will receive Hogyoku pieces. Of course, the number of Hogyoku shards in Murphy's hands is naturally not enough. But so what? Advertisement. After dealing with Ace, he will go to the next world. As for what will become of the Hunter Guild and other series in the future, Murphy doesn't care at all. He just needs to draw a big pie for other people and let them work for him. To put it in a simpler way, it is, after completing this vote, leave. Anyway, other people don't know how many Hogyoku shards he still has in his hand. They only know one thing. That is, all the Hogyoku shards in the world flow out of his hand. That's it. When time flies by. At this time, countless bounty hunters have gathered here in the Hunters Guild. Bounty hunters from all over the world, the Grand Line, and the New World gathered in Sabayati Archipelago, a territory that once belonged to Marine but now completely belongs to the Hunter Guild. At the same time, the 4 emperors in New World have also assembled to form a jaw-dropping super giant pirate group. Not only that, any pirate group or country that stands in front of them has no room for explanation at all, and is completely wiped out directly. It was almost completely defeated. In less than a few days, this apparently huge pirate group completely lost news. However, although the pirate group of 4 emperors said they lost the news, they also directly sent an invitation to Hueco Mundo. Tomorrow, we will challenge Hueco Mundo, an emerging organization, at the Suigetsu archipelago. The whole world was shaken by it. In the face of the battle, the 4 emperors obviously planned to organize and launch a frontal attack together. It's even going to be smashed to the end directly. Advertisement. Either you die or I live a great battle. Every bounty hunter is at least able to fight 10 Marines one-on-one. Although the high-end combat power is not much, the low-end combat power is crushing for any organization. It is precisely for this reason that Bullet has become extraordinarily quiet these days. It wasn't until the Hunter Guild released this A-level mission that all members participated, that Gekko Moria made up his mind to bind with the Hunter Guild. As for whether he was really dissuaded by the incident with Golden Lion and Ryder and was ready to settle down, or whether he had other ideas, it was hard to say. Frontal attack. Prevent sneak attacks. But it's true, Whitebeard and his like really don't know how to do sneak attacks, but others may not, especially that old woman from Big Mom. Interesting. Seeing this gauntlet, Murphy smiled disdainfully, with an inexplicable look in his eyes. The Hunters Guild and the Marine World Government fell out. He originally planned to leave the Hunters Guild, but since no one came to trouble him, he temporarily observed the situation for a while. And the fighting power of these people is also very powerful. The other 3 have directly severed contact with the Hunter Guild. As for what they plan to do now, Murphy doesn't know, nor is he interested in knowing. It doesn't matter. As long as you can get Hogyoku, it doesn't matter what you do. Gekko Moria replied with a smile. After arranging the things behind, Murphy also went to a huge square where the Suigetsu archipelago port is located. As the eldest of the Shichibukai, his need for Hogyoku is the most urgent. As for what Hawkeye is thinking, it is unknown. A large dense area, like a group of ants, is full of human heads. Point 0. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. Advertisement. Now the Hogyoku fragments in his body are enough, there is no need to touch the red thread. Ever since he heard Ryder's words, he also understood one thing, what to do and what not to do. Not only him, Doflamingo and Kelp Doll probably came with the same idea. Doflamingo. G-Lock Doll. To be honest, in Murphy's opinion, Bullet is a bit too quiet. Although it looks very scattered, but the degree of freedom is very high. Gekko Moria. Eagle Eye. At this time, in the originally huge square, tens of thousands of bounty hunters of all kinds gathered here. P.S. Open black lens bracket 1 close black lens bracket. The clothes you wear are also very casual, without any restrictions. Bullet crossed his arms and said with a serious expression. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for evaluation, ask for taxi rewards. Bullet, it's okay for you to guard the headquarters of the Hunters Guild here. By the way, so are you 4. Murphy casually discarded the gauntlet, and then looked at Bullet and 4 other people of different shapes beside him. Of the Shichibukai, only these 4 remain in the Hunters Guild. This is probably also the characteristic of the Hunters Guild. There is no restriction at all, not even uniform clothing. Chapter 195. Only Yuan's Attitude. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 195. Only Yuan's Attitude. And at the very front of the square, a 5-story high platform about 50 meters high stands there, and each floor has a huge space 10 meters high. After all, this is the world of One Piece, and small titans of 6 or 7 meters appear everywhere, so 10-meter high buildings are relatively common. At the bottom, a group of powerful bounty hunters who are also well known in New World and Grand Line are standing here, and they are all B-level hunters in the Hunters Guild. And on the high platform on the second floor, more than a dozen figures are sitting on it. A-rank hunter of the Hunter Guild. Each has masters who can rival Marine Admirals' supplementary combat power. Although many people rely on the power of Hogyoku fragments to reach this level, it is enough, 140, to make people feel frightened. You know, there must have been close to 20 A-level hunters before. However, because of the previous incident, many members of the Hunters Guild left. After all, Many A-level hunters already own Hogyoku. For most of them, one fragment is enough, and there is no need to risk participating in the overall situation of this world change. Click. Click. Suddenly, a dazzling light shines in the sky. The blue Reiatsu laid out a long road in the air, pointing directly to the uppermost main seat. Advertisement. A gorgeous chair is placed on the top floor. Feeling this familiar Reiatsu, the A-level hunters below all turned their heads and looked back. Come here. Former Marine Admiral. Many A-level hunters from the Hunter Guild looked in the direction behind them very curiously. As A-level hunters, they naturally knew that the source of the Hogyoku fragments was not the Golden Lion, the former president of the Hunter Guild, but another person behind the scenes. And it was also the first time for them to see the master behind the legendary Hunter Guild with their own eyes. And many bounty hunters looked at Murphy with admiration and longing. The shadow of the famous Tree of Man. This character has become a legend since he just entered the Marine Elite camp, and he even succeeded in replacing Whitebeard, who was once known as the strongest in the world, in a very short period of time. Since the creation of the Great Pirate Era, the prestige of the Hunters Guild has spread wildly in this sea, coupled with the assistance of the Golden Capital and the World Economic News Agency. It can be said that the group with the Hunters Guild as its core has become a group. Even surpassed Marine's powerful organization in dealing with pirates. But now, the two are combined in such a way. Many people's palms are already covered with sweat, and they are staring at the other side intently. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. And it seemed to be influenced by Murphy's temperament. Slowly, almost at the same time, the whole square fell silent. Advertisement. Is this the strongest in the world? Just sitting there makes people unable to think of rebelling. But at the same time, once it succeeds, Hueco Mundo will be completely inferior to the altar, and its reputation will spread all over the world, becoming the next strongest overlord in this world without a doubt. The thorny rose in Marine already has a heart, and everyone knows that. Gulu. Entrenched in the New World, the pirate emperors who reigned like emperors joined forces to attack. Majestic yet inaccessible. At this time, she was standing at Ziyuan's door, and heard what Ziyuan said clearly. Some journalists who are not afraid of death even came to the scene of Suigetsu Archipelago, preparing to obtain first-hand and complete information. After all, Murphy 3.6 has already sat down and is about to be promoted to the position of Marine Marshal. Such a person's reputation in Marine can be imagined. Although he didn't speak and looked pretty, he exuded an inviolable dignity. 4 emperors dispatched at the same time. I'm afraid even naval headquarters can't bear the impact. Whether it's the gentle you who used to be, or the you who is full of hockey now, you are still full of charm. It always feels so depressing. P.S. Open black lens bracket 1 close black lens bracket. Everyone used to think that this is a pair of golden boys and girls, the most suitable pair in Marine. Advertisement. Absently, he held his face in one hand, propped his elbow on the table, and looked at the figure coming from the end of the phone bug, with a different color in his eyes. On the Suigetsu Archipelago, countless bubbles rose from the ground and burst into the sky from time to time with the sound of bang. Through the video of the phone bug, almost everyone in the world is watching this epic battle. Military leadership, economic leadership. Because it was at the Marine station, Yuan could only speak in such a low voice, lowering his voice. Many people who saw this clearly were also extremely excited. Once they won, their future status might be directly comparable to or even stronger than Marine Admiral. Ziyuan did not participate in the meeting of the senior Marine generals, but was in his room, silently watching the video in the phone bug. After all, their opponents this time may not be easy. However, while many people were very excited, there were also many people who were still a little uneasy. Murphy, on the other hand, sat on the top seat in a leisurely manner, with his fingers crossed in front of him, looking very calm and unhurried. Sure enough, you still can't let go of that man. He was speechless. If the 4 emperors are defeated and all the New World chassis are included in the Hunter Guild's rule, then they will also be ahead of the world government in terms of land. If other people see it, I'm afraid I don't know what to say. Meanwhile, on the Marine side, to be honest, even though Murphy has left Marine, there are quite a few people in Marine who still have expectations for him. Chapter 196. the power to destroy the world. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 196, the power to destroy the world. In addition, about 20 to 30 nautical miles from Suigetsu archipelago. On the calm sea, suddenly, a huge wave with a height of more than 100 meters suddenly rose, aiming violently at the direction of Suigetsu archipelago. At the same time, above the huge waves, one after another of the pirate ships had already put away their sails and came along with the huge waves. And at the forefront is a huge warship like a white whale. A shirtless figure with only a pirate captain's cloak on his body stood there peacefully and motionless. Father, I can already see the exact location of the Suigetsu archipelago. Margao, the first team captain of the Whitebeard pirates, stood behind Whitebeard and said in a deep voice. Have you seen it already? Margaret, tell everyone to back off. Upon hearing Margaret's 12 words, Whitebeard replied blankly. But Margot could already understand what Whitebeard was going to do. Yes. After answering, Margot didn't procrastinate, and turned around and left here. Trouble. Is that guy Whitebeard going to do it? Seeing Whitebeard pick up the gorgeous Naginata, Ben Beckman on the other ship also looked at Whitebeard curiously. What kind of power will this well-deserved strongest 4 emperors have after obtaining eternal life from Ryder and erasing all hidden wounds? Advertisement. To be honest, they all want to meet them. The power of the strongest person becoming stronger. And Beckman also turned his head to look at the redhead next to him, only to see that the redhead was looking at Whitebeard on the other side with a serious face. As a man who also bears the title of 4 emperors, it is not surprising that the redhead would be curious about Whitebeard's current power. Boom. The cold gaze made Whitebeard's surroundings exude a chill. The body is slightly arched and swayed like a Zama step, and the small-eyed man-like body exudes an indescribable domineering. His fists were crossed in front of his chest, and he slammed towards both sides brazenly. It hit the atmosphere beside him directly. Kacha kacha. Although it was said that they were too far apart and couldn't be seen through the 1,000-meter high waves, his intuition told him that the man was in that direction. What's going on? Suddenly there is such a strong wind. Sea breeze. He knew that Whitebeard was very strong, even though Whitebeard, who was already old before, had not degraded in the slightest due to his age under constant self-discipline. The bursts of violent hurricanes even blown many members of the Hunters Guild to run around, making it hard for people to keep their eyes open. Advertisement. And this gust of wind also directly spread to the distant Suigetsu archipelago. It may not be a problem to directly turn the Suigetsu archipelago in a physical sense. Please spare me. This thing is beyond human reach, right? Shanks smiled helplessly. The sky darkened instantly. However, if it's that man, there should be a way to solve this problem. Shanks looked towards the election party somewhere in the Suigetsu archipelago. In the blink of an eye, the huge waves that could almost instantly submerge the Suigetsu archipelago have aimed at this place and attacked. Moreover, there is not much time left for thinking here. The huge waves that could drive the entire island directly into the bottom of the sea put a huge pressure on everyone present. No, Suigetsu archipelago rarely happens. What an exaggerated 743 guy. Shanks, can you split this wave? Beckman looked back at Shanks in a daze, not knowing what to say. Even if he has already seen, huge waves with a height of thousands of meters have surged up from the sky in this direction. Because, blowing like a wind drawn by Whitebeard's power. P.S. Open black lens bracket too close black lens bracket. Hey, hey, hey. Huge waves are coming. Advertisement. Taking Whitebeard as the demarcation point, on both sides beside him, the terrifying and unbelievable cracks began to expand outward, and even climbed directly into the sky until there was no trace at all. This frightening power is simply outrageously ferocious. Facing this level of combat power, I am afraid few people present can handle it. Wait. That's up there. Even the redhead standing next to Whitebeard was completely stunned after seeing this scene. Whitebeard's attack, not to mention splitting, was dodging, and the red-haired also felt a lot of pressure. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Are you here? A man who claims to have the power to destroy the world. Murphy, who was sitting on the upper left, still had an indifferent expression. Huge waves. How is that possible? This is the Suigetsu archipelago. No, no way. Many hunters who saw this kind of natural disaster for the first time screamed out in panic. The people at the front saw the huge waves hitting here, and they all panicked and didn't know what to do. But he really didn't expect that the power of a Hogyoku could turn Whitebeard into the terrifying form he is now. The surging sea in the distance made people feel frightened, their faces turned livid instantly, and many people even broke out in cold sweat. Hoo! The raging waves are estimated to sink the entire Suigetsu archipelago into the sea in an instant. Chapter 197 Response. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 197 Response. It's an exaggerated attack. A tsunami of this level is too exaggerated. As expected of the man who claims to be able to destroy the world. Whitebeard, the leader of the four emperors. The Marines who saw this scene through the phone bug were also shocked by the terrible scene in front of them. Didn't you expect it to start right away? This kind of top-level battle. Many recently promoted Marine generals looked on in shock. This scene of heaven and earth falling apart is simply not within their reach. Whitebeard's strength has reached this level. Sengoku looked at the scene in front of him and was also a little surprised. As an old opponent, he knew that Whitebeard was very strong, but definitely not to this extent. This can be said to be an unexpectedly powerful force. The four emperors will be united. I'm afraid it has something to do with Rider. I'm afraid Yuhuzi also obtained the Hogyoku fragment from Rider. Pelusolino said, looking at Huzi's appearance. It's really troublesome. Looking at the huge waves coming towards him, Murphy lightly lowered his crossed fingers, looked at the huge waves in front of him and said a few words. Time stops. Moment. A force directly hit the huge wave, and within a moment, the 1,000-meter-high sea, which was still incomparably turbulent just now, calmed down. And listened to it as if it violated the laws of physics. If time is stopped, then everything is equal to nothing. It really is a very good power. Seeing that the huge 1,000-meter-high wave was stopped, Jifei also said with great interest. Next to the real Hogyoku on Murphy's chest, there is a golden Hogyoku, if anyone has noticed. Advertisement. And, this golden Hogyoku is slowly dimming, and the power inside seems to be slowly absorbed by the Hogyoku on Murphy's chest. There is no doubt that this golden Hogyoku is the Hogyoku inside the golden lion. Although it has not been fully absorbed, Murphy has been able to easily use the golden lion's ability, and can even make it stronger. Once it is fully absorbed, it will far exceed golden lion. In the eyes of others, the mighty huge waves that could sink the entire Suigetsu archipelago into the bottom of the sea suddenly froze in the sky. The scene that covered the sky and the sun was full of shock. Stopped. Could it be Lord Murphy? Seeing the monstrous waves being stopped directly, everyone immediately thought of Sin. The original decline was wiped out immediately, and morale was immediately boosted. Looking at the figure who stood up from the highest platform calmly and unhurriedly, everyone was unabashedly full of admiration. It's still the same simple and violent way of fighting as before. From the very beginning, we planned to defeat us all directly. Although Murphy's voice was very stable, it was convincing and appealing. It really is a monster. A mere Whitebeard pirates. Our Lord Murphy is the strongest man in the world. 4 emperors. Laozi also takes a Hogyoku shard. Advertisement. Murphy's reassuring behavior immediately ignited the enthusiasm of the group of bounty hunters, and they waved their weapons one by one, and even started to shout hysterically. Since that's the case, I'll come and respond for a while. Voice down. Ho ho. In the next moment, above the sea surface, 2 huge and outrageous water dragons directly appeared out of thin air. With an incomparably ferocious appearance, they came through the air and aimed directly at the pirate fleet far away on the sea. What happened? The seawater turned into a dragon. What happened? Seeing the huge sea dragon covering the sky, the faces of the complacent pirates who were originally screaming and exclaiming because of Whitebeard's attack changed instantly. Isn't it so easy to overturn directly? Seeing that his attack was stopped by a strange ability, Whitebeard was not surprised. It's just that what he didn't expect was that the other party used exactly the same method to deal with him. Provoking Laozi's return. Whitebeard's sharp eyes looked directly at the huge sea dragon coming up. The continuously roaring high-long method seemed to feel Whitebeard's gaze, and directly attacked Whitebeard. The incandescent halo condensed out, and then directly climbed onto the naginata in Whitebeard's hand, although the last supreme sharp knife, Kong Yunkir, was destroyed by Ryujin Jaka and could no longer be used. But for someone at Whitebeard's level, finding a replacement weapon isn't too difficult. Although it is not the supreme sword, the power of this naginata is not weaker than other famous swords. Advertisement. The sharp naginata cut directly in the air. In an extremely short second, several consecutive vibrations slashed out fiercely, and the sharp naginata mercilessly tore through the air. The slashes formed by the huge white light circle hit the huge water dragon violently one after another. Rumble. The color of the world changed, and the violent power seemed to shake the world. The huge and incomparable water dragon was crushed abruptly and scattered. The overwhelming water curtain almost covered the entire area. With the falling of the water curtain, Wang Mo's seemed to sound the horn of the final battle. Fire. Target the Whitebeard pirates and the Red Hair pirates. Bang. Bang. Boom. Boom. Shelling and gunfire sounded continuously. All the large caliber artillery aimed at Whitebeard and the red-haired main ship mercilessly. The innumerable number of shells can be said to be overwhelming. Chapter 198. War. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 198. War. Although there are quite a few tellers in the Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates that can deal with these shells, it seems that they are a bit stretched in the face of this huge number of shells. Even though most of the shells were intercepted, many shells still directly hit Whitebeard and the red-haired boat. Fortunately, it was the ship of the four emperors after all, and the level of sturdiness was unimaginable for ordinary people. Even if it received so many shells, it didn't seem to have any major impact. Whitebeard and the pirate group under the red hair hardly suffered much damage in the rear. Really? Looking at the shells that kept flying, the red-haired shrugged helplessly. Stop complaining, it's just a routine strategy. It can be said to be common sense in naval warfare to use shells to consume the enemy's physical strength first. It is completely reasonable for the other party to choose to do so. Troublesome trick. Airshock. A punch hit the Suigetsu archipelago's position, an astonishing force of vibration erupted immediately, and in an instant, a huge force of Japanese stocks poured in directly. Crack. Crack. The whole space. Under the dumbstruck eyes of countless people 407. Cracks began to occur at a speed visible to the naked eye. Advertisement. In the blink of an eye, the lines of the space debris in front of him have spread all over the entire field of vision. Anyone can feel the powerful breath of power emanating from the broken lines. Once touched, the consequences will be unimaginable. Next second, the space that seemed to be unable to hold on for a long time burst open directly. The terrifying impact instantly destroyed all the forts on the shore. Gu la 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 la. Whitebeard's cold eyes met Murphy on the highest platform, and he directly used his strength to destroy all the forts. This force is indeed a bit terrifying. Murphy kid, I only ask one question. Hunting Ying's death was deliberately designed by you, right? Whitebeard's deep voice seemed to contain untold anger. Although it has been so long, Whitebeard naturally values his former deputy and captain of the first team differently from others. To this day, he has not forgotten this matter. BC. Facing Whitebeard's questioning, Murphy looked extraordinarily calm, calmly crossed his legs, and turned his legs to look in Whitebeard's direction. Frivolous question, and if you're here to ask such obvious things, then I'm so disappointed in you, Whitebeard. Murphy's condescending attitude, as if he was teaching the younger generation, completely made Whitebeard furious. What a nasty brat. Little ones. Charge up in one go. Defeat them. Whitebeard's hockey's voice spread throughout the Moby Dick, and the shining naginata in his hand looked particularly intimidating. Advertisement. Oh. Kill those guys. Tamp down the Suigetsu archipelago. Let these guys know that we Whitebeard pirates are not to be messed with. It seems that because of Whitebeard's personal charm, the entire Whitebeard pirate group soon became murderous. Especially the captains represented by Margao, Foil Vista, Diamond Josie and others were the first to rush forward. Without the attack from the port artillery, the others could easily keep up with the Whitebeard captains. As expected of the Whitebeard pirates. Let's go too. Seeing this scene, the redhead was a little surprised at the morale of the Whitebeard pirates. It is obviously the weak side, but all the members are so passionate, as if they will be able to take advantage of the victory and chase to end the battle immediately. That's right, We can't let the Whitebeard pirates steal the limelight by themselves, we are also the Four Emperors pirates. That's right. It would be too embarrassing to end like this. Senior cadres headed by red hair pirates also talked about it one after another. Although Whitebeard is the undisputed strongest among the Four Emperors, they don't want to be underestimated too much. And behind the red hair pirates, followed by the red hair pirates, is the Kaido of the Beasts pirate group. However, Kaido of the Beasts himself was not on board. Although the three major cadres under Kaido of the Beasts were there, almost no one took them seriously. Soon, the two sides began to confront each other directly. Advertisement. The very simple and brutal hand-to-hand handover and the extremely tragic scene of fighting were quickly unfolded in front of the whole world. There is no pretense, very real war scenes. For 99% of people living in a peaceful environment, this scene is unbelievable. However, the battle scenes almost showed obvious advantages and disadvantages. Although the Four Emperors pirate group is very strong, most of the pirates are relatively weak when they are placed at the bottom. On the other hand, the largest number of pirate hunters are basically small masters with a certain combat effectiveness, at least when facing one or two pirates, there is no problem at all. After the Whitebeard pirates, Red Hair pirates, and Kaido pirates all joined the battle gradually stabilized. But even if the cadres of the Four Emperors pirate group joined the battle, the Hunter Guild was obviously not a vegetarian, and there were also higher level hunters fighting against it. For a while, the battle situation immediately became stalemate. Go away. At this moment, an obese guy holding a naginata who looked somewhat similar to Whitebeard rushed towards here with his legs that were extremely inconsistent with his body. Edward Wable suddenly raised the naginata in his hand. Whitebeard too. Seeing this figure, the redhead was stunned for a second, but he immediately recognized that this was one of the A-level hunters of the Hunter Guild. The guy calling himself Whitebeard too. Chapter 199 Kaido of the Beasts appears. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 199 Kaido of the Beasts appears. Although the outside world has always held a skeptical attitude towards this identity, there is another point that everyone recognizes. That's why the guy known as Whitebeard too undoubtedly has the power of a younger Whitebeard. And now he has become a bounty hunter of the Hunter Guild. This undoubtedly shows the great power this guy possesses. In the blink of an eye, Whitebeard too had already cut a bloody path in the battlefield. Those pirates next to Whitebeard too were blasted out miserably. Quote pipe quote. Boom. One by one, the pirates kept screaming, their flesh and blood being smashed by the terrible impact and force. Looks like I'm the only one to deal with this guy. Seeing Whitebeard II's frenzied carnage, the redhead didn't hesitate, and flew towards Whitebeard too at an astonishing speed. Everyone else get out of the way. Without any hesitation, the redhead shouted directly to the surrounding pirates. At the same time, the western sword in his hand was directly covered with the terrifying armament Haki. Advertisement. The pitch-black western sword quickly slashed a bolt of lightning in the air, and then directly hit Whitebeard too. Boom. The red-haired full blow hit Whitebeard II's body mercilessly, and Whitebeard too, who seemed a little dazed, almost didn't react at all, and was directly sent flying from afar. As expected of a redhead. It's so easy to face that guy. Bastard. Give that big fool a little bit of power. Those pirates who watched Whitebeard too kill all directions but could do nothing, felt very relieved when they saw the red hair with a sword and knocked him away. Ah! It hurts so much. Whitebeard too lay on the ground screaming continuously. But in the blink of an eye, he stood up directly, as if he was nothing, staring at the red-haired opposite with fierce and bloody eyes. This guy. Seeing that Whitebeard too didn't even have a wound on his body, the redhead was surprised. No. To be precise, the tiny wound caused by the red hair healed completely in a very short time. Hogyoku's power. Sure enough, he's a troublesome guy. He was obviously already a very troublesome opponent, but now he still had inexhaustible physical strength and almost invincible resilience. Even the redhead felt a lot of pressure. Fortunately, he is stronger than Whitebeard too in terms of strength, otherwise he really has no good ways to use it. This guy has to be dealt with, the destructive power is too terrifying. The red-haired stared at Whitebeard too with a wide range of destructive power and terrible physical strength, defense power, and recovery power. Advertisement. If he doesn't stop this guy, the formation here will be washed away soon. Edward Wabel. Although I've heard about it a long time ago, I still can't believe it. Now it seems that this guy is indeed somewhat similar to Dad. A fat man with blood dripping iron claws on his hands. The male stared at Whitebeard too, and his pupils shrank sharply. And in front of this man, countless elites of the Hunters Guild fell here. Although he looks like an ordinary pirate of the Whitebeard pirates, he has the power to fight the four emperors directly. The man's name is Marshal D. Teach. Looking at the figure on the square overlooking the entire battlefield, Teach's gaze also became a little hot. However, it seems that I have gone too far. I really need to keep a low profile first. Seeing more and more masters from the Hunter Guild approach him, Blackbeard also felt that he had to keep a low profile. The more people he kills, the more and stronger bounty hunters will target him. With a little paddling and a little stalemate, his strength can be hidden for a longer time. Anyway, Blackbeard doesn't think that a frontal battle can be won, and the final result will be the failure of the Four Emperors alliance. He just wants to take advantage of the chaos to get what he wants is enough. Thinking of this, Blackbeard also immediately found a bounty hunter and began to fight, and fought hard. Exclamation mark. Ask for flowers. In the sky, a black shadow suddenly shone on the square of Sabayati Archipelago. Before anyone could react, the center of the Sabayati Archipelago's square was instantly destroyed by a terrifying force. Broken rubble flew from all directions, knocking many people into the air. When the people around came to their senses, they saw a huge black figure slowly crawling out of the smashed cave. Advertisement. Seeing this figure, no one pays attention to other issues anymore. Because, the figure that appeared in front of them was none other than the four emperors, Kaido of the Beasts. Among all the living creatures in the sea, land and air, pirates are known as the strongest creature, known for their powerful wrist strength and immortality. Point 0. The strength is extremely strong, with incredible defense and vitality. Kaido of the Beasts. Lu Chi, go and deal with that guy. Seeing the appearance of Kaido of the Beasts, Murphy said a rare word, and asked Lu Chi below to confront Kaido of the Beasts. Hearing Murphy's order, Lu Chi didn't say much, and jumped out from the second floor, jumping to the position in front of Kaido of the Beasts. Seeing the figure of Kaido of the Beasts facing him, Whitebeard's pupils shrank. They also learned a lot about the Hunter Guild. Apart from Bullet, the vice president of the Hunters Guild, the most worthy of their understanding is this extremely thin guy in front of them. Even in a sense, this guy might be even scarier than Bullet. Because Lu Chi is really Murphy's confidant. His strength is even more unfathomable. Many people even think that Lu Chi's combat power is comparable to that of Bullet or even Rider and Golden Lion. Chapter 200 Lu Chi vs Kaido. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Chapter 200 Lu Chi vs Kaido. What? Kaido, who had just climbed out of the deep pit, just saw Lu Chi walking in front of him. Although there is a big difference in body size, the difference in strength is not judged by body size. As for Lu Chi's information, Kaido of the Beasts doesn't know about it. Kaido of the Beasts, your opponent is me. Lu Chi's indifferent voice came out smoothly, without the slightest fluctuation because the opponent was the famous Kaido of the Beasts. Because in Lu Chi's eyes, there is only the idea of completing the order. And Kaido of the Beasts didn't hesitate at all. The huge fist directly aimed at Lu Chi and punched Lu Chi, directly blasting Lu Chi away, smashing countless walls continuously, and hitting the ground fiercely. 0.60 inches could almost be said to have been beaten to a shattered fracture, completely lost all strength, and lay completely motionless on the ground. Asshole. I'm in such a bad mood, I'd better go find that bastard Murphy and challenge him one-on-one. Kaido didn't care about Lu Chi, who had just been beaten up by a group of people. After wiping his nose, he turned around and prepared in Murphy's direction. Rushed over. Whoosh. Advertisement. However, at the moment when Kaido turned around, Lu Chi, who had been blown away by a group of him just now, stood up with a broken bone. Gun finger. The shell, which is more terrifying than a cannon, aimed directly at Kaido's back and blasted it. The incomparable force directly poured into Kaido's body, and a blood hole the size of an index finger was opened behind him. However, at the same time, Lu Chi's fingers also bent. The strongest creature in the sea, land and air really deserves its reputation. You are the first person who can block my spear without any defense. Seeing his finger and the blood hole on Kaido's back, Lu Chi, who had become intact, took out his finger, gently flicked the blood on it, and said without changing his expression. It was indeed the first time he met such a hard guy. To be able to penetrate Laozi's armed defense in an instant, it seems that he is not an ordinary fish. After the move just now, Kaido also changed his view of Lu Chi. There are only a handful of people in this world who can penetrate his defenses, especially when he directly opened a blood hole on his armament haki. Moreover, compared to this matter, what Kaido is more interested in is that just now he was sure that he had blasted Lu Chi's body to pieces, but the other party recovered so quickly. This recovery speed is even more terrifying than the awakening of most animal psychics. Advertisement. Even his Jack the Drow couldn't do it, not even. Even he himself couldn't recover that quickly. Miscellaneous fish. I haven't heard such an evaluation for a long time. Lu Chi flicked his finger violently, and the bent finger just recovered instantly, and then said, "It's really arrogant pirates." Arrogance. Who do you think is lousy? Hearing this sentence, Kaido of the Beasts roared. Powerful sound waves continued to spread along the square, scaring the bounty hunters around. Moved, and even many people were directly suppressed by Kaido's violent conqueror's haki. Lousy is Kaido of the Beasts. Conquerors. But it's not a rare thing. Looking at the fallen pirates and bounty hunters around, Lu Chi didn't show any surprised expression. In the waters of the New World, people who own conqueror's haki are like crossing the river, let alone the four emperors of New World, especially the red-haired Kaido, whose conqueror's haki is so impressive that everyone has to be convinced. But this ability to attack everyone indiscriminately, how effective can it be in war? Moreover, if you want to talk about momentum. Thinking of this, Lu Chi involuntarily turned his head to look at Murphy on the high platform. The extremely exaggerated Reiatsu seems to hold the whole world in his hands, and can even directly interfere with the atmosphere and the sky. Even he fell to his knees under the pressure of Murphy's Reiatsu. Let's put haki in moderation. It's not your turn to be arrogant here. Kaido of the Beasts. Advertisement. Go to hell, brat. Kaido didn't care about that much, he just picked up his own mace, and with the force of a hammer that could blow away a mountain, he swung the mace in his hand and attacked Lu Chi. Boring yelling. Lu Chi's expression was very flat, and he directly met Kaido's attack with a knife in his hand. The attacks of the two collided. With this as the center, everything within 50 meters around was blown away. The field that was cleared out seemed like a dual field deliberately prepared for the two of them. Whether it is Lu Chi or Kaido, it can almost be said that they are close to immortality, and the battle between the two is also extraordinarily violent, without any sense of beauty at all. Almost all of them were extremely crazy and bloody battles that completely abandoned their defenses. The crazy appearance made no one dare to break into the center of the two people's battles. Because it's too crazy. Some people may be willing to challenge the strong, but any sane guy is not willing to mess with a lunatic. Let alone a fight between two lunatics. The three pirate emperors have already appeared, and they are all on the battlefield. Sure enough, that bastard Big Mom sneaked into the Sabayati archipelago. Seeing the appearance of the four emperors one after another, Murphy 2.3 did not make a move at all. Mean. Instead, I noticed that guy from Big Mom. One Piece. It's ridiculous, he only does this kind of sneaky thing, he doesn't even have the courage to fight me head on, boring guy. Murphy said disdainfully, his words were full of disdain for Big Mom.